Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. This for you, Willie. Oh, Dixieland, I was born early on a frosty morn. Look away, Dixieland. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. It's true in marching on. So my name is Port Cunningham, and we're just waiting for Pappy Cantrell. Hopefully he'll show up, and we've got Kevin Royce here. And I have Kevin Royce on for a specific purpose. Excuse me, and that's I'm writing a book on some of my experiences, and Kevin and I have had a number of really, really great experiences. We're going to talk about that today. It has to do with shape-shifting, basically, and a few other things, because I've got some stuff to add to Kevin's story that will lead up to it. And then we also had a bunch of stuff that happened around the same time, right, Kevin? That we can
Oh,
discuss.
absolutely. They were doing stuff with you that just was really synergistic with what they were doing with me. So it was kind of good. It played off each other and really helped me understand what was going on.
Right, right. So before we get into that, what do you think of the image to the right of Kevin there, Holly?
I was
Sure.
I was seeing that on his page last night too. That you have like a series of you have a video on that on your page, right? Where you have like a slideshow.
Yeah. Do I have a slideshow?
I
I
thought
might.
so.
I don't know.
I think you do. I think I've seen you where we had a bunch of different
Yeah,
sequences
but
of.
I didn't have time to watch the slideshow. I was like I was trying to listen while I was multitasking, so I couldn't stop and just look at the screen. But it was a Sasquatch watching you, and I could see the face. Like, I can't point at your thing. I'm like, there's the nose, there's the mouth in the bottom hole there, the eyes in the front left. And when you connect with it, you get like this energy back
Oh
and
yeah.
forth. That's how I feel every time I lock eyes with one and we just stand there for a minute. That energy flow is just so strong from them. It's my favorite thing, one of my favorite things to experience. And so that one's got really great. I mean, I can still feel the energy, even though it's a still shot.
Right. And that was back in February of 2020 that this video was taken.
Well, I'd love to hear what's happened since then. Did that start a roller coaster or?
Well, okay, it did. Well, actually, it didn't start roller coaster. This was actually kind of like the climax, though. Um, and this kind of gets into what Brian brought me on for. Um,
Why don't you explain that part of it?
so for I don't know. So what is this? 2025, 2016, 2017. So in about 2017, 2016, I started to become aware that there were, by the way, just a little about me that I've shared before. my background is I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm all about rational, logical, material, worldview kind of stuff. So this blew my mind. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Just totally blew my mind. With that said, the Sasquatch were really patient with me and brought me along from their more mundane physical aspects, and that's how they introduced themselves to me in a very just, leaving me physical gifts, doing physical things on my property, um, interacting with me in very physical ways. And they moved more into an energetic um, representation of what they did. And they showed themselves to me physically. They showed themselves to me doing really bizarre things. One of them being they materialized right in front of me and then dematerialized where I could actually see through them during this process. Um, so with all that said, it all did lead up to this. I went out. I just bought a new camera. It was a Chinese knockoff of a pretty decent phone, and it had a 48 megapixel camera. And so I thought, I'm going to go check this out. I'm going to go test it out down in their area. And this is the one time I was so excited about taking the pictures or the video that I didn't warn them. I didn't say, hey, I'm getting my camera out and I'm going to take a video. All I did was I walked over to an area where I usually meditate in the summer because it's all sunny and it's beautiful. It's very remote and bunch of a small grove of cedar trees. It's fantastic. So I walked out to where the water is, right by where the water is, and I just took my phone, picked it up, and did a 270-degree arc, and then a whole series of other things happened after that. But that's where the Sasquatch people show up, and some other beings that are not as readily apparent. I've watched the video probably hundreds of times. I don't know where else we want to go with that, by the way.
How high did you estimate that individual was, Kevin?
So
I know you did some.
Oh yeah, I took my son-in-law and I are pretty close to the same height, and
5'2"?
Yeah, 5'2", and I carry a 6-foot walking stick. So what we did was I took him down there. I wrapped a red towel around the very top of the walking stick. And so between me and where the Sasquatch and the other beings is a body of water and a whole bunch of brush. It's a beaver lake, basically. And there's a stream leading into the beaver lake right here. So I stayed about where I'm standing, where this particular picture was taken. And he went over to where the Sasquatch person was. I believe that's the clan leader. And I think for obvious reasons, you'll understand why I think that. My son-in-law, when I showed him exactly where to stand, because that's the only place it could be, and I had him hold the stick up full arm length. So it was over. So the bottom of the stick was at more than 6 feet high, and the top of the stick was 6 feet high. And that only came to about where his shoulder is. The lower
That's
part.
About right.
So my best guess is his head's at least 18 inches high, 1.5 feet. So we're talking a minimum of 14 feet.
14 feet. Wait a minute. I thought you said his shoulders was at 6 feet.
No,
12
shoulders feet. At
12 feet.
12 feet. Over 12 feet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's wow. You guys get such awesome tall Sasquatches out there. The tallest I've ever gotten here that I've sticked is like 9 feet.
That's still pretty big.
That's not saying that there isn't anybody taller around, but every time I have a sighting where I have something tangible to go back and measure at, it comes between 8 feet where the eyes are. So it's like 9 feet by the time you're at the top of the head. And I'm in Minnesota. And so you guys, I've heard the tallest ones are always Alaska or out your way.
Yeah. And I know, okay, so I live on the eastern side of the Olympic Peninsula, and the Olympic Peninsula is actually truly filled with Sasquatch people. There's a lot of Sasquatch in the Olympic Mountains. So what we have is the lowland. I don't think they dwell there year round. In fact, I know they don't dwell here year round, but we have those mountain Sasquatch right here. That's what this guy is.
Yeah, you live really close to Barb, right?
Yeah, Barb and I are about 5 miles apart. We interact with the same clan.
Yeah,
She,
I'm really
she inter-
familiar with her clan.
yeah, absolutely. And she
You're
interacts.
dealing with her clan right now?
Well, we've been doing a lot of readings with that clan and her, to figure out her history with them. Remember that? How
Yeah.
she, yeah. So like I've been, working with her with that clan. And then of course I hear what they're doing like all the time on her pages and things. So I feel real connected to that clan. That's
Right.
the
What,
same clan that you work
what,
with from 5 miles
what,
away. Are you sure it's exactly the same or there isn't some more other
It,
ones?
I think there's overlap because okay, where we live, there's a couple of clans that call this at least their seasonal home, and they roam up and down this peninsula. Um,
Okay.
there is an area that they come to seasonally where this is where they bring their kids, and it's a place where I think it's a safe haven for them. They don't do logging here. Um, it's right around a lake, so there's water, food, lots of wildlife, and um, like I said, she lives right on Puget Sound. I live a little bit further inland and a little bit further north,
Okay.
and I live right on managed forest. Right, so there's thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of managed forest that's interspersed with lakes, creeks, streams, and people don't go on it, right? I mean, they do. So like salal pickers and
But not many.
not very many at all,
They just said that along with me. Your clan just said, but not many.
right? Um, so when I started going in and they realized I knew that they were there, that's when they started to interact with me. And the first real interaction I had was actually they scared the crud out of me.
I'd love to hear about it, but Brian's in charge of the agenda today.
Right.
So. Do we
no,
have
no, let's
time,
go.
Brian?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're just
So,
talking.
so this was probably in 2018. I was a little slow, by the way, with them reaching out to me and me coming to the conclusion that, oh my gosh, I live in the middle of the Sasquatch clan's territory. There's more than one, and they're interacting with me.
Well, actually, the first clue you had was the apple tree, wasn't it? Why don't you just start there?
All right. So, well, okay. I'm going to tell you why I think they started to interact with me. I was diagnosed with early onset dementia back in 2013. It's a very slow progressing variety, but it still cost me my career. And I was depressed. This was in 2013. I was depressed for probably 3+ years, maybe more. So that's 2016, 2017, about the time the Sasquatch people started to interact with me. And my whole perception of life had already started to change. So when they started to interact with me at home, they were leaving me gifts like dead rodents where I would find them laid out neatly. Like they weren't from predation. There was no damage to the bodies that you could visibly see. They were the healthiest looking dead rodents you have ever seen in your life. And I've seen a lot. I live out in the woods, right? If something's dead, usually something killed it or and had eaten part of it, or it was sick and dying anyway, or had been hit by a car. So that caught my attention first, and then well, I started to look online for people to figure out what's going on, and I found 3 YouTube channels. One was Colorado Bigfoot, one was Snow White Bigfoot, and one was Impossible Visits with Christopher Noel. Those were the very first 3 I had any sort of Sasquatch input from. And they were doing a thing called basically Project Go and See. And they were challenging people just to go out their front doors and see if they could find Sasquatch structures. And I of course, was pretty skeptical, but I went out my front door, literally within less than 100 yards in my neighbor's woods. There was a symmetrical vertical X that was surrounded by some other stuff. And I went, oh my gosh, they're here. But it's still, that wasn't the reality of it didn't really hit me yet, right? It hadn't sunk in. It was more of an intellectual, yeah, okay.
Kevin, what was it about them that made
What was
you
what?
realize that it was made by them? It was just because it was just so unusual, or why did you know it was them when you saw
Because
these structures?
it was so unusual. It was obviously constructed, right? It wasn't like two trees had been pushed together. It's like logs had been picked up, set in place, and braced in a way that it was the symmetrical X. I mean, it was human or not human, but human-like hands had to have done it.
But why not humans though? Why did you decide it was Sasquatch? Just too big a project, too big a.
Yeah, they were big. They was big logs. I couldn't have done it.
Okay.
So
All right.
with that as a backdrop, I was morally certain, right, that oh shoot, now there's Sasquatch here. Wow, how cool. I still wasn't thinking that they were going to interact with me. Well, like I said, they left me gifts and they and dead rodents and stuff like that. And I shared with my wife, who didn't believe me, by the way. She thought I was going nuts because, again, like I said, 3 years earlier, I had been diagnosed with early onset dementia.
Right.
Right. So she thought I was just having hallucinations. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give her that. Well, we have an old apple tree, and it literally has scabby apples on it, but it's like an ancient old apple tree. And the only thing those apples are really good for is applesauce. And by gosh, they make the best applesauce you've ever had. Well, this like in 2018, or I think 2018, my wife comes running in the house when she left for work for one morning. She comes running in the house and said, somebody stole all the apples from our tree. I mentioned they're scabby. No one would eat these apples. No one would steal these apples. And someone would have had to drug a ladder up our driveway in the middle of the night, out in the middle of nowhere. We've got 2 dogs who would have sounded off in a big way. And so I went out just to check it out. Literally, all the apples, every single apple from 6 feet up was gone, leaving a ring of apples in the low end. They'd taken more than half the apples from the top of the tree, or maybe not more, about half. And I started laughing when I saw that because it was so obvious what had happened. I don't know that they even liked my apples because they never did it again. I think that was just to show me,
Right.
look, we really are here.
Right.
This was not, and not long after that, my son comes running in one night, so he was a lifeguard at the YMCA, and he worked the really early shift, and he left at 4:30. He comes running in and tells me, Dad, there are eyes above the apple tree. And I said, what do you, I'm asleep, right? I don't get up at 4:30. And so I started laughing at that too, because he said, yeah, they were about this far apart and they were like glowing. And so anyway, bottom line is they made it so abundantly clear that they were physically present and they were willing to interact with me. And so we started to have a relationship. The property next to mine used to be vacant, and it was just a big 1-acre parcel that was fully wooded with really second growth trees that were pretty decent size. And so I put a gifting table up there, and we had a back and forth for a while with trinkets, and I tried gifting them peanut butter of varying varieties. They never touched it. They didn't like it, I don't think. They looked at it and went, no, I don't think so. The only thing they ever ate that I gave them was my eggs for my chickens and my apples. That's it.
Okay.
You have chickens?
Not anymore, but yeah, we did.
Did you
So
try
let me just. Oh, go ahead, Holly, while you got the thought.
Well, I was gonna say, did you try taking the lid off the peanut butter and setting it there?
Yes.
What brands did you put out?
I put Jif, and I chose creamy and chunky, just to see if they liked either one. I think that is such a processed peanut butter. That's probably why they didn't eat it. That's why I'm thinking.
Well,
But
they
I don't
like
know.
my Skippy here, so you could try Skippy, or yeah, I mean, anyway, maybe you're not doing that anymore, but like,
I'm not.
that's Like
It's
all I ever do is gift food to mine.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Tom told me to give him buttermilk biscuits. So I make buttermilk biscuits from scratch, but I don't use buttermilk. I just use whatever I have around.
Right.
I don't use butter. I just use Crisco, butter flavored Crisco and flour
Do they
and
like them?
yeah, and I
Oh, it's
take my
awesome.
Greek yogurt that I eat for breakfast every day and I mix it with water to make the substitute buttermilk. And they taste great. And if I have some other kind of milk around, but like I don't drink milk, but like I'll have like almond milk or I don't know what. No, I have lactate free milk. I'll have some of that. So I use that. It's blander. It's not as rich as a buttermilk biscuit, but no matter how many weeks it's been since I've gifted them something, no matter what the weather is, without any warning, I just stick those out there because they're like, well, we know you're making them. Well, that's true. So,
Right.
like they are gone the next day. Every single one of them. The hole is left in the bag, and the bag's sitting there. Biscuit's gone. Every single, without fail. They love that. So I don't know if you want to try food thing, I would do that. Also, they do like candy because I gave them Halloween candy, and they very politely ripped the Skittles bags in half, and then all the little Skittles bags were in a pile under the log.
Oh,
So I
that's
can't
great.
imagine that you don't find food that they love because like that's all I ever do is give them food.
I've given them I've tried candy. I tried Kit Kats. I tried M&Ms. I tried Skittles. I tried really high quality chocolate. I've tried, I mean, and literally none of it. They didn't want any of it. And I know they had been there because
That's
they,
extremely unusual. I don't know if I've ever even heard that they don't eat your food. I mean, the elders here are saying, yeah, well, they got like really good food out there they can eat, in nature. I'm like, yeah, like, like my clan leader here is saying, yeah, well, they got more food sources there than we have here. He's chuckling in my head right now. So I don't know why. Like, I would like to ask them, like, why aren't they eating your food at all? They just said it's not about that.
no, I don't think
no,
it
it's
was about
not.
that.
It's
That's
not
what they
about
said.
that.
They
It,
said
They
it's not
didn't.
about that.
They didn't take some of my food either.
I
Sometimes
think
they
it
do,
was,
sometimes they don't. And I
Yeah,
think it's
sometimes they
just
don't take my food either, but
there was
they
always there was always a big lesson involved when they took the food. There was always something that I discovered about them, or So I think it's more about interaction and you figuring stuff out or whatever than actually the food.
but you'd still think they'd like peanut butter.
Well, the ones
right.
up
Everybody
here.
likes
Well, I
peanut
mean,
butter.
I
I love
think
peanut
no,
butter.
no, 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 no. I think they all like different stuff. Some of them like you know some things and some don't. Like I put my friend Randy Brisson put peanut butter out, and they took the lid off, screwed it back on, and when we looked inside of it, there was not one piece of brown from the peanut. It was completely clean.
That's
Yeah, they do
awesome.
that with me too.
And other time I've left peanut butter out, and it's been there for 3 years.
That's a long
Sometimes
time.
and they don't take it.
I know they
Sometimes they
do
do,
stuff
sometimes they don't.
unpredictably, really unpredictably. You really can't tell. Like they didn't like bananas. I'm like, what?
But like I said, that doesn't mean that some of the ones in British Columbia might like bananas and different things, and some of them, they're like
But I
people.
can't
They have
imagine
different.
he wouldn't have found something that they like out of all those
Well,
different things.
I honestly think that they wanted my relationship with me to not be about food. They had a different plan for
Well, that's what
me.
they said. Yeah.
Yeah,
But like
I don't think
it still is with all
I
its other ones too. I mean, we still have, like hugely deep I mean, I speak with mine telepathically all day long, but they still take my food. So it's just like
I
that's just so crazy.
well, yeah, I don't think it's about with me and with Kevin and what I don't think it's about the food. It's about the relationship and the
It's not with
connection.
me either, but they still take my food.
Right? So yeah, I'm okay with it because when it when they
Obviously.
the
Yes, I
one
understand.
right the one thing they did take, and I think they were really happy about, was when we had chickens. My daughter was in chicken 4-H, and so she had some fancy breeds that were bantams, and then I had my full size chickens. And I hate bantam eggs. They just got really irritating. They're useless. They're too small. And so one day I got irritated picking them up out of the coop, and I picked one up, held it up to the woods where I knew where they watched me, and I said, "Okay, guys, you can have every single one of these. and just leave me the big eggs. You can have the little ones. They're all yours. I did not get another bantam egg for 6 months.
There you go. That's one thing they like.
Yep. And I was good with it. I'll feed the chickens.
Absolutely.
You can have it.
Absolutely.
So
That's super cool. That is super cool.
Yeah. So Holly, if Kevin's open to it, I mean, and you can decide, Kevin, but what do you see as the relationship with Kevin's clan and himself right now? Where are they standing? Because he's kind of in a lull right now, right, Kevin?
yeah, not just kind of, seriously in a lull.
Okay, tell me what's going on so I can get tuned to the energy of that trajectory.
Okay, so well, this all gets into the whole the whole climax of the relationship, and where then they started to pull back. I think it was because it was unhealthy. I'm not sure. That's my overlay on it. That's
it or you were unhealthy because it was unhealthy or you were unhealthy?
My relationship with them was unhealthy. I was becoming obsessed, and I was letting the rest of my life and relationships kind of.
Oh, they're giving me a twinge on that. Did you sacrifice family time to go spend time with them? Did you miss out on activities?
Fully. Yes. Because I was disabled. I could no longer work. I had all the time in the world. And so I spent hours and hours and hours. I mean, every day I was in the woods, every day. And I let all my chores go. I let all my relationships go. I got really close to two different Sasquatch women. The first one, Talitha, she performed a healing on me. It was an emotional healing, not a physical healing. And I fully admit that she introduced me to the whole idea of energy. She encompassed me in a love envelope. That's really the best way I can describe it. And when she was working on me, it was profound. And I've never experienced anything like it before or since. I gave her full access to my brain, to my person.
I'm gonna go there with you.
And so for about 3 months, no, maybe not 3 months, 2 months, on a nightly basis. And Brian and I would be talking, chatting online, and all of a sudden I would feel her presence, and I would, and basically what she was telling me was, you need to go to bed. So at 8 o'clock in the evening, I'd go lay down and basically pass out, and she would do work on me. Hey, Tom.
That's amazing.
And then her husband. So during that time, or somewhere thereabouts, that's when they appeared to me. She introduced me to her family, to her husband, and to her at least one child. I think it's 2 children. I know she had a 3rd child. And that's when I also learned that her husband did not like me. He huffed at me in disgust when I passed by him one day on the trail. He was hiding.
Get into way more detail.
He was jealous of your relationship. You guys have a really deep relationship. You and that female Sasquatch have a really deep relationship. Goes back to past lives, all kinds of stuff. Like, you souls that know each other. So
what do you get?
Connection.
For Kevin's sake, why don't you get more into that? Can you talk about some of those connections with her in the past? I'm sure you'd like to hear. I would.
Yeah, but I want to hear his story first. Bring me up to date first.
Okay,
I'll keep reading it.
So she's a really quality individual, right? Regardless of my feelings about her or pulling back, she respected that her husband did not want her to be that close to me. And so she pulled away, which kind of broke my heart. I didn't realize I had that much of a crush on her. Because I developed an emotional attachment that was
absolutely,
very strong. Um, what I think she did was she facilitated a younger Sasquatch woman coming into my life. Also, her name was Misha, and to replace her or to continue to interact with me, it just sort of to blunt the blow of Talitha pulling away. And so for, I don't know, close to a year, maybe more, I interacted with Misha on a really regular basis, but I've always missed Talitha, right? Because that energy work and she was just really, she and I were just really strongly connected. And so without that connection, it just sort of, nothing else has ever, never matched, right? Never has
Absolutely.
met up with that experience. Well, I, I gave Misha a present. My wife and I went to the Grand Canyon and I found this. So one of the, I have to give a little more context. So one of the things that the Sasquatch people do is they come up with glyphs that are meaningful between you and them. And the one that they really came up with me and really were clear with me on was the pie glyph. And it always had one bigger leg that was thicker and one smaller leg. And what it meant was this is the bigger leg was the Sasquatch person, and the smaller leg, thinner leg was me. And the bar across when it was touching was connection. So it was you and I are connected. And if they put a modifier in the middle, it meant something. Well, sometimes they put a heart, which meant there's love between us, or friendship, or something to that effect. So I received that on the trail one day, and I picked it up and I kept the heart-shaped rock and thanked them, and I went off. And then my wife and I took a vacation, and we went to the Grand Canyon, and I found these petrified wood hearts that had been carved that were absolutely beautiful and smooth and fantastic grain. It was great. So they were fairly cheap. They were like $3 or $4. And so I picked one up with the full intent of gifting that back inside the glyph again. Wonder where Brian went. Anyway, so when I did come back and I did that, I built a glyph and I showed the pi symbol and I put it in the middle, and I held the heart up to my heart beforehand, and I suggested that we were friends and this is from my heart and that there's love between us, blah blah blah. And I think I gave her the wrong idea, right? I don't know that I did.
That's what I've been getting. Keep going.
Yeah.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
And then I left and I came back 2 days later. And so they've been interacting with me with, I don't have a sense of smell. And so anytime I smell something, it's actually kind of a shock. Well, they interacted with me with a sense of smell, with especially with the women. And each one of them has a different floral aroma that they can present. And so I walked through the area where I had done that gifting, and was overwhelmed with the number of Sasquatch individual women who were sounding off and greeting me, right, with the scent.
Mm-hmm.
And that at first I was really happy, but then all of a sudden it occurred to me, what message did I send?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So Misha is not as talented as, or as, I don't know, talented.
He's not as far along.
Yes, not as far along as Talitha was.
Right.
But she still was able to enter my dreams directly. Okay. And the nature of my dreams with her changed dramatically after that gift.
Okay.
When I actually consciously thought about it and realized I'd given her probably the wrong impression, and that I was not a mate. I'm not somebody to think about having a long-term relationship with.
Right.
I had to tell her that, right? And so I did. I told her that in a dream.
Yeah.
And she was very upset at me, I think.
Uh-huh.
That's what I got.
Yep.
What was she upset? I've been listening to the whole thing. What was she upset with you about, that you didn't want the relationship, or that you even suggested it?
That I'm not sure. I don't know. But all I knew was I just had to, I just told her, look, I'm an old man. You are a young woman. You deserve, you know, a mate that is going to be with you your entire life.
Uh, it's the first part that she was upset that that you were saying that you were not a mate for her. Not the fact that you would even think it, but that you were not, that you were saying, hey dude, I can't mate with you. That's what she was upset about. Yeah. She didn't understand that. Yeah.
You mean
Yeah.
And so,
she wanted to be with Kevin?
Oh yeah. Well, she had a big crush on him. Yeah, big crush. Yep. She
Well,
just said big crush.
I can see how that would cause friction within the family, and we're going to be getting into a story where that really comes to light. That's quite humorous. But go ahead, Kevin, with what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
get up to the
Oh,
timeline. I'm
actually,
writing notes as you're talking, so I'll tell you what
uh,
they're saying and what I'm getting when you're done with your story.
yeah, and actually, can you focus on his past relationships with her and how
We'll get
they?
to that next. Yeah, first I'm
Yeah,
reading
yeah,
this stuff and then we'll go to that level.
yeah, yeah.
so once I told her that I was not mate. I was not a mate. I'm too old, right? There's nothing that I have nothing to offer her that a mate should be able to
She
offer.
said, "Oh yes, you do."
Plus you need a
She begs to
plus you need
differ with
a
that.
you need a
But we'll keep
stepladder
going.
or something too. I would.
Well, okay, it was Misha who showed up and showed herself to me, showed her presence physically to me, right? As a Sasquatch person, and she appeared to me as a human. So,
What? What?
oh, see, we'll get to
I'm
that.
writing that down.
Oh
Um,
no, that's part of my story too. We'll get into that.
yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Hey, quit
Okay.
making out with your dog.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was after that I told her that I wasn't gonna, that's not me. That the whole relationship with the clan just cooled off to the point where I felt like I felt rejected, actually.
Well,
And
you were. That's why. I mean, it's
and
exactly
so
what they. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
turning into the men, and the men are going. Uh, yeah, that's no,
What was
no.
Talisha looking for? If she was upset that Kevin didn't want to have a relationship, why, she was
Talitha
already had a
wasn't.
mate.
It wasn't Talitha. It was Misha.
Onisha was upset.
Yeah, Talitha was. I think personally, I think Talitha's happily married, and I think that her husband is actually probably a pretty stand-up guy. He's doing exactly what I would have done in his shoes if some
Absolutely.
weirdo had been coming after my woman.
Okay, I got two completely different energy lines. You want me to tell you what I got so
Yes,
far? Are
I
you
would
up to
love.
date now? Okay, so but wait a minute. They said to tell you. They said, but wait, let's just go right up to the present. So what year was that when all that happened?
Okay, so this is where the dementia comes in. Things get fuzzy after 2020.
Okay.
So, what happened to me in April of 2020? In fact, about 5 years ago, I had a heart attack with subsequent heart, bypass surgery, and I had a long hospital stay. And by the way, they visited me in the hospital.
Super cool.
It actually was kind of life saving because that was at the beginning of COVID when they wouldn't let anybody else come visit you. So I was totally isolated and alone, except for my Sasquatch people.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It,
They
it
didn't give a crap
was.
about that.
Did they do stuff physically in the room? Did they cloak themselves and like were there physical, or did they like
They may have.
paranormally come to you as visions, apparitions, or how did
They
that
would
work?
they would visit me. So the way that we mostly interact, if I'm not in the woods or they haven't, been around my house, is they used to really enter into my dreams. And actually, they weren't dreams. And you could
Right.
always tell when they would arrive because they would rip you out of whatever you were dreaming
Yep.
and they would put you into the dream or the scenario they wanted you in order to interact with you. And I think they did that for their own safety, personally, because in a dream world, it's really unpredictable what you're going to do because you're not in your conscious, rational mind. You are doing weird stuff. So
Well, in the astral, like you can't hurt them physically though.
Right.
So I don't know. I think they're just wanting to. They said they wanted you to focus. So and they just wanted it to be really profound so that you would understand that it was a. And they said, oh, this is what they just said. They said, well, they're pulling you out of the dream state and taking you into an out of body experience for like a sentient interaction with them. And they said they can't really. It's harder for them to enter into your dream because that's something your brain was just playing out from your daily stuff. And they said it's easier for them just to kind of wake you up, pull you out and stick you into like their meeting room area.
Yep. Oh
They
yeah,
kind of just
absolutely.
they woke you up in your sleep and said, "Hey, we need to meet with you right now."
And there's two times they did that, and they put me into somebody else's body.
Let's discuss that. What body? Whose body?
So the first one was a Sasquatch body.
Okay, well that makes sense. Woo, getting all kinds of twinges. This is fun. Okay.
So I was in the woods, and I was walking out, and I was tired. It was before I had my heart attack, and so I think I was experiencing the fatigue and
Absolutely.
the impact or the effects of the heart blockage already.
Yes. Yes. My friend just went through that. She had a lot of tiredness before she got diagnosed as well.
Right. And so I was, as I always did, I talked to them the entire time I'm in their woods, and they are their woods. And well, what I was saying to them was, wow, it must be really cool to be a Sasquatch person. And I can only imagine what it'd be like to have all that energy and strength and, just, and the joy. And not 2 nights later, I had that dream, only it wasn't a dream. They picked me up, put me into a Sasquatch person's body, and let me wander around for a while. And there was a Sasquatch person who was leading me, but they weren't interacting with me directly, right? They were kind of letting me experience it all on my own. It was oh my gosh, I was so excited when I woke up. It's like, this is awesome. I wish I was a Sasquatch person.
That's
What
what I'm
were some
saying.
of
I'm
the
like, why haven't I not heard about this? You should be like, tooting this everywhere, 24/7.
what were some of the things you experienced in the Sasquatch body?
Yeah, tell us everything.
So all of a sudden, I was conscious of being in the Sasquatch, being the Sasquatch, not in the body, but I was the Sasquatch. I mean, it was. I've never, by the way, just want to be very clear. I've never dreamed that I was anybody but myself before these
Right.
experiences, right? I've always been me in the dream. I may have been a pirate, or I may have been a famous football player, or I may have been, whatever. But this was a first. And so all of a sudden, I'm a Sasquatch person, and I'm in a national park, right? And you can tell because of the signage. There were some signs that they had the dark brown and the yellow lettering, and I don't remember what the name of the park was. There was one of those, those covered not park bench, but picnic table areas.
Yeah. Like a shelter, picnic shelter.
Yeah, with picnic shelter, but it was open sides.
Yeah.
But there was the roof was made of cedar shakes, had a little bit of moss on it, and my head was almost to the peak of that. And so I'm looking at the top of this thing, and I'm looking around, absolutely in awe. And then I start tromping through the woods, looking, exploring. And there's always a Sasquatch person, and it felt like it was a young Sasquatch person, like 2 steps ahead of me, but always, sort of in sight, but not totally in sight. And they were leading me, letting me just walk through these woods in this campground or this park. And all I remember was marveling at the amount of strength and joy and
That's what I'm
energy
thinking.
that was just flowing through my body. And that was when I became jealous of not being a Sasquatch person. And then
I've never heard
up.
this before. I've never heard this before, Kevin.
Did you feel yourself walking?
Yeah, oh yeah, fully. I was in the body, right? I mean, that was me.
Because sometimes in an out of body experience, you can be floating. That's what I'm asking. You think you're walking, but you're really just floating along. So
I was actually even pushing the branches out of the way so I could, because I was so big. So it was amazing.
Was your
right?
What would it
consciousness
be like
totally
to walk?
Kevin?
You go first, Brian. You go first. What
Was
did you
your
say, Brian?
conscious totally Kevin, or was there some Sasquatch?
No, it was totally Kevin. It was totally me. I mean, there was, um, shoot. I mean, that gets down to the whole idea of what makes you you. And I don't personally believe that this physical body makes me me. I believe that my consciousness is,
Right.
Absolutely.
movable. And so I got so excited that I accidentally woke myself up, by the way.
I hate that.
Right. And I couldn't, you desperately try to get back to it, to get back to sleep. Nah. that was my experience there. And I told Brian about it, but I don't think he understood the importance of it at the time.
I don't recall that story at all.
Well, that's okay. We've shared a lot of stories. I don't remember all of yours either.
And Tom's going, why couldn't that have happened to me, right, Tom?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Were
I've
you
been
were you
I've
feeling
been
a lot of
close to
that?
them.
Go, what did you say?
I said I've been so very close to them, with them in different situations, but I've never been them, at least not that I can remember. And I would love to be.
Oh, I honestly wish that everybody who even knows anything about the Sasquatch people is able to do that, or that they get them with that, because that is a true gift.
Yeah. Yes, I can
So,
imagine.
so what are you getting, Holly? And what are you saying for Talisha? And if you want to go there at this point, Talisha
It's
and
Talitha.
TH.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Close enough. It was close enough, right? Talitha.
Yes.
How do you see their relationship over the lifetimes? And
Okay. Well, I gotta connect back to Earth now because I'm trying really hard to feel like what it felt like to be walking in that body and the different gait, the rhythm of the gait.
That's exactly one of the things I
I
noticed.
just want to touch on that quick. Tell me about that.
So I don't even know how to describe it. It was flowing, right? It wasn't, okay, we have short little legs, really. And the way we walk is kind of,
And when we walk, we pole vault over our knees.
right. We're choppy. We're really choppy. And this was nothing like that. I felt like I was gliding, right? But my legs were moving, but it was such a different sensation, a different way.
It's called a compliant gait.
Okay.
And it's totally different than ours. The foot comes up, comes around, and then sits down in front, flat. And then you come forward. Where ours, we land with a heavy heel strike and then come down on our foot. So it's just the exact opposite of ours. And that's why when you look at theirs, if you want to judge your weight or anything like that, you look at the back half of the print, because that's the part where the entire body weight was on the ground at the same time smoothly. If you look at the front half, that's when it's up on its toes, so to speak. And so you're getting all the weight on half the foot. So it's going to be deeper. And that's one of the ways you tell a Sasquatch print from a fake, from a hoax.
Right.
Is look at that formation.
I also see a little swivel in their footprints where I can see like the foot swiveled out as they step.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We don't do that swivel thing.
Oh.
Were you doing that? Were you feeling all that, Kevin?
No, I wasn't to that level of detail.
Okay.
I was just too much. Okay. So I have to tell you that there was such a shock, and I was in such awe of all the different feelings that I wasn't in there long enough to really analyze every little detail. I got the sense, and I think that's what they wanted was to get the sense. This is what it's like to be a Sasquatch person. And that's
what you asked for, didn't you?
That's exactly what I asked for. I mean, they gave me exactly what I asked for.
Okay, let me just tie that in with the timeline now. So Did that happen? I just remember, I forget when you were telling me when that happened again. Now, was that
2020.
after? Yeah,
So-
I wrote down after 2020. So it was after you had all the experiences with telling Misha that you weren't interested in her.
Well, that actually happened. So no, actually that happened a little bit after. About
Okay.
that was within a year of my heart surgery.
Which, with the being in the body or talking to Misha,
Talking,
telling her that you
telling
weren't?
Misha that I wasn't. Um,
Because I'm trying to see if they're asking you if you'd like to be a Sasquatch and be her mate. So did this stuff happen before you had to end up telling her that you were not interested in being her
yes,
mate?
long before.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically,
I think they were asking you if you'd like to like even almost just like, yeah, like, yep, okay, yeah. Like they might have been asking you if you wanted to do a soul switch, if you wanted to die as a human
oh,
and then reincarnate your soul into jump right into a Sasquatch body and just continue on as a Sasquatch. You don't even have to be, they're just saying you don't even have to be born. You don't have to even be
Mm,
born. They have like a Sasquatch body ready for you, and you just go right into the Sasquatch body and continue a lifetime as her mate as a Sasquatch. And that's what I'm getting. I've been getting a lot of that about Tom because Tom's been talking about his next life. And I wanted to tell you, Tom, that I've been downloading that it doesn't really matter when you die in this life. And don't worry about the timeline getting too stretched out with your future plans with your next life because you can jump right in at you don't have to like be born and grow up again is what I'm getting in
yeah,
the next life.
my major concern with leaving this life is the stuff I want to get completed.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I've started a new book and an autobiography, and I want to get that completed. And the books that I'm working on with other people, I want to see those in print. Barb Shoop is close. She's within a month. And I don't know where Brian is with his. I haven't heard from him on it recently. Uh, Maybe we have to get after him to get back to work on it.
I've been
Eh?
taking a little bit of a break. Yeah, I go in streaks. I haven't done anything. Well, actually, I did a little bit a few days ago.
Yeah,
Actually, this is the reason for this video is because I want to get a lot of this information that Kevin's sharing today.
yeah.
Shared experiences between us because I'm going to be right. That's the next thing I'm writing about.
so
Mhm.
Holly. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say the follow on to being a Sasquatch
Yeah.
was the second time they made me not me was while I was in the hospital recovering from the bypass surgery. Um, they appeared to me in a couple of dreams that were very symbolic, but then they also took me out and put me into the body of a 13 or 14-year-old young man. Um,
Human man?
huh?
A human man?
Yeah, human. And in a family, right? I was in a family situation. They woke me up at 4:30 a.m. as this young man. I was to get out of bed and get ready. I knew I had to get ready for school, so it was maybe 5:30 a.m. And but I knew that if I went out and saw my family and they looked in my eyes, they knew it wasn't their son, right? And so I'm making sure I don't look at anybody. Yeah, got my eyes averted so that it's not apparent. But in that scenario, I met the Sasquatch clan leader. He was standing on the other side of the laundry room window, and he put his hand up on, or not up. He put his hand down on it, and I had to put my hand up on it. And once I did that, he moved me into a situation where I was interacting with the father of this 14-year-old young man. I don't know that it was a previous life. I don't know that it was, I don't know what it was. But in this interaction between the father and the son, he told me that how proud he was of me and just really filled my tank with words that my dad would never say, that I didn't realize how much I needed. And I woke up from that crying. It was healing. I don't know how that all matches in with what I'm telling you, but
Interesting. Well, you could have been jumping to a alternate dimension where it really was you, but you were experiencing a different experience in a different timeline. And they wanted you to know that. The Sasquatches wanted you to know that you are getting those experiences with, and that your father could have been the father in that life. And so they're letting you know, like when you die, you're going to go back and have your knowledge of all these different fissures that your incarnation is creating and doing, and that you'll have the whole picture is what they're telling me. Because we
that'd
can
be pretty
do
cool.
that.
That'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So when I got out of the hospital, and I went back home, I had kind of an extra experience that had, I don't think it had anything to do with Sasquatch people, but it might. So I'm going to tell it to you, and I'm hoping maybe you could actually shed some light on it. So after you have bypass surgery, you have your cardiac rehab, work that you have to do so you don't, well, so that you can heal. And because I wanted to get back into the woods to visit with my clan, I worked really hard. In fact, I overdid it a lot. Well, this one day, probably just 4 or 5 days after being home, I'd overdone it. My daughter and my wife were sitting at the dining room table, so they were home, and I excused myself to my bedroom because I said, I've overdone it. I need to take a nap. And I went and laid down, and anybody who's had bypass surgery or their chest cranked open for any reason and then re-sewn shut knows that the act of laying down afterwards is excruciating. It's a whole, you have to do it in a certain way.
Got it.
It's painful. So
Yeah.
I had gotten myself laid down, pulled the covers over, and I had my eyes closed, trying to let the pain go, letting it subside. And I felt this tap, tap, tap around my legs, on either side of my legs, like someone was tucking me in. At first, I thought it was my imagination, fully admit it. But it persisted. So I thought, I better look at that. So when I opened my eyes, there was an individual standing not at that. They were about.
Is he freezing on you too, Tom?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if it was him or me. Okay, now you're back. We lost you for a minute. You said, are you back?
I don't know.
No, he's freezing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on here.
We
Are
got
we
you
back?
now. Yeah, now you're back. So you said, well, there was an individual at your bed, but then we lost the rest of that. We didn't get any description of the individual or anything. So
Okay.
go back to that.
So the I couldn't see the individual if I looked directly at them. I could
Okay.
only see through peripheral.
Yep.
And so, that actually, the way I discovered that was anytime you lift your head up, if you've had your chest cut open, it hurts. So I just continued to lay there. I didn't have the energy to look up.
Right.
And so I'm looking down, right? I'm looking down, and I see, oh my gosh, there's a person there, or there's some sort of humanoid figure, but it's kind of a grayish blue, and it's surrounded in this energy bubble that is I can't see very well into. So I see no identifying details. I didn't get any negative sense from it, right? And so I didn't command it to leave. I just said, okay, whatever it's doing, it's fine. It's just weird. And then I said to it, but I felt like I needed to talk to it, let it know that I knew it was there. And I said to it, if you don't have my highest good in mind, I need you to leave. If not, you're welcome to continue doing whatever you need to do. And then I just laid back and let my consciousness or let my eyes just go to the ceiling and not pay attention. It was surprised that I could see it. It stood up and rushed up to my shoulder area of my bed, right? And looked right down into my face. And again, I couldn't, if I looked directly at it,
Right.
I couldn't see it.
Yeah, because you're
But-
using your third eye vision to see it out the side of your eye.
Right. So out of the side of my eye, and I just, when I realized that it was shocked that I could see it, I just smiled and said, yes, I can see you. And I'm really tired, so I'm probably just going to go to sleep now. So if you, whatever you need to do, you need to do it. And I actually passed out after that. I don't know when it left, but I know it went back down to my legs and started to tap, tap, tap. I don't know if that was Talitha. I don't know if that was Misha. I don't know if that was the previous resident of this property where we lived. I don't know if that was my grandmother.
I'm getting aliens.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm getting those aliens that you're connected to. That you also have an alien family and that they were working on you.
Okay.
That's what I was getting because they don't look human, right? They were like weirdly blue, gray.
Yeah, but it was not. If you looked at this individual, what you saw was an energy bubble. You could see a little bit into the energy bubble, but mostly all you could really make out in terms of detail was the energy bubble.
Okay, vibrational signature wise, let's discuss that because their vibrational signature is what your pineal gland will use to identify who it was.
Okay.
Do you have any alignment with that when I say I think it was your alien star family that was working on you at that time?
What I get from that is that could be because so from this this picture right here,
Yeah.
there, I don't know if you see it. It's not, you see him in the background. You see the Sasquatch man right there.
Yep. Yep.
But you also see, let's see if I can come back. You
Upper
also
left?
see up above the Sasquatch man right here,
Yeah.
right? Did you see him?
That was jumping
Yes.
out to me too. Oh, yeah, yeah. I see a mouth to the left and two. Oh my God. Excuse me. That's an alien face right there.
I know it.
I
You're
just
one of
got
the
to
few.
all the way up my chakra.
You're one of the few people who can see that.
That's it.
It looks,
You guys
looks like
see
a
it?
wolf.
Okay.
Looks like a wolf face to me.
It looks
Yeah.
like the mask from, it looks like the Halloween mask from the movie Mask. If you guys can see that dark circle on the left is the mouth, like,
Hold on.
Yeah.
and then two
It's,
slanty eyes.
no. See, there's the mouth right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And let's see if I can come back. And then there's the eye right.
Yep.
Right.
It's looking off to the side like that. It's looking to the left like that.
Yes, it is.
Sasquatch
Totally.
is looking straight.
Yeah.
And the alien face is kind of tilted and going like that. And they're morphing into one.
Well, actually, it gets weirder than that.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go over that footage because we could spend a lot of time on that, and I would love to talk to you about it, by the way, because
Sure.
like I said, you're one of the few people that have ever been able to really actually see it.
That's the only face I do see in that.
Get out.
No. No, I don't see anything else but that.
Yeah. And so there are actually two other beings that show up. And again, I would love to talk to somebody who's got some insight because
Super cool. We'll do that. I could have you as a guest on my YouTube channel, or we could do it again as another podcast here and put it on here.
Okay. And so this guy morphs, the alien looking dude.
Uh-huh.
He like deflates.
That's what I was just getting is it's always he's shape shifting, which
Yep.
is what we're trying to get to today, but we're going to get to
Right.
stuff I've
He-
written down too. But
He
I already
deflates
asked you
into
earlier.
something that looks like a doll, like the Pillsbury Doughboy, actually, which it's kind of hilarious. But this actually troubled me. The whole what they did on this day where I took the picture or the video was they had set up kind of like a scavenger hunt for me. And it was, I don't know who they is in this case. I think it was these guys, right? And then they were watching me discover it. But it made me vaguely uncomfortable in that I feel like they totally reversed roles and let me know that I was the rat in the maze and they were the ones seeing how I would respond to stimuli, right? They had switched roles on me and let me know that I was not the scientist. I was the rat. That bothered me. I will admit that. And actually, I didn't go back once I determined what was going on here. I really didn't go back in the woods for a couple of weeks because it kind of scared me a little bit.
Right. So wait a minute now. Who did that to you exactly? Who was doing that to you?
Who was doing so? What
Making you feel like you were the rat in the maze?
Okay, so, and by the way, you saw the video, at least you sort of saw the video. The video around all this was me discovering some tree blazes where they had left some scratch marks at my level that led me to a gift. And on the video, you'll see me probably go through several emotions, one of which was, oh my gosh, I've never seen this here. And I think, are they trying to warn me off? Is this sort of territorial? So I had to logic my way through and figure out, oh no, this is really just to show me, take me over to this area to get me to find this gift they'd left for me. So I think it was these guys, right? I think these guys did it, but I don't know. Right?
Alien Sasquatch together?
Alien Sasquatch, and there were two other creatures or two other beings that were with them. One, and I'm going to sound like I'm a real nutter now. One, in fact, the tree right here, this branch thing, if you go down right here, you will see that actually there is a face in subsequent frames. It's almost like an elf. It's got pointy ears, and it's got all you see of it is one half of its face, kind of like this. It's peering out, and then on this tree itself, sorry, I'm pointing and you guys can't see. On this tree itself, there's another face that appears that over 70 frames changes. Like it's talking. It's facial expressions
doesn't surprise
change.
me at all.
And so it was there. What it boils down to is there were at least
My ice.
Oh, your ice? Has it not been brought back?
there were at least 4 beings. One of them Sasquatch. One of them that looks like a gray alien kind of a person, and then these other 2 beings. And that's, by the way, that just really blew my mind.
Absolutely. I'm reading the frequency of this area as you're talking to me. It is super, as humans would define it, paranormal.
Oh,
The frequency of the land where you live is, you're not too far from Mount Hood, right?
I am about 5 hours.
Yeah, that's not too far compared to me. I'm like 20. So, I mean, it's that whole geographical quadrant there, up to, the northeast part of Washington state is just like hugely a paranormal area. And, there's tons of, it's a really active area also for people interacting with UFOs and aliens in that area as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like the frequency of what I was reading with, like I don't know if that would happen in the middle of Oklahoma, is what I'm saying. It's just really, can you test that difference? The frequencies are very tuned to shape-shifting happening where you and Brian both live. It's just a really whimsical area. And it allows that they said the veil is thin there, is what they said.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would agree.
Veil is very thin between dimensions and beings and everything. So they said anything could happen.
Before I was even aware that there were Sasquatch people in this area, when I would hike through, because this is actually a very pretty area. And
Oh,
so we
yeah.
used to go on this hike all the time. And there are certain areas along this path that you'd hit the woods, and the energy, it would just become remarkable, right? Like it would feel totally different. And this area where I used to meditate, in this right where I'm pictured here, that is where the peak weirdness. I wouldn't even say weirdness,
I'm
but
feeling like a river of energy flowing to you right there. Like an unseen river of energy.
it's really unreal.
Yeah,
I
I'd
love
love
it.
to come there sometime. It sounds
Okay.
like an unbelievable area. Yeah, I want to
I would
come
love
and
to
play
bring you.
Tom's watching sometime. So yeah, I just really want to go up to that area of the country and spend some time up there. It just sounds unbelievable.
So not far from where this picture or this video was taken is also where Talitha, her husband, her child, and probably her other child showed themselves as humans. They
Oh, I
introduced
got to
me.
hear that before I get the whole connection here of your past lives and what you're doing together and all that and the sexual connection thing. And so please piece that in.
So this happened before my heart surgery, I think. So it's been long enough that, and I didn't write it all down in sequence, which is really, I think, a kind of stupidity on my part. But so my where this fits in the puzzle is always kind of questionable. Um, Talitha and her husband. So one day I was hiking in the woods, and this is before the whole paranormal thing really struck home for me. I was hiking in the woods in this area, actually behind where this picture behind me shows. Um, and as I'm hiking along, I'm on this old logging road that ends up in a dead end. And this voice comes into my head that says, prepare to have your life changed forever. Quote unquote, that's exactly what it said. And that stopped me in my tracks. And I said to myself, well, that was a little dramatic. I wonder if that came from me, right? That's kind of weird. And so after that thought, I continued on. And well, within less than a minute, not even a minute, less than 30 seconds later, I'm coming around this hill. It's going up a hill along this logging road, and it's a blind corner. And all of a sudden, in front of me, probably 20 yards, maybe 30 yards in the middle of the road, there's well, there's a shape-shifting Sasquatch is what I have come to decide that's what it was.
Absolutely.
Um, but what was happening? But at the time, I had not gotten my head around the idea that that was a possibility or reality or anything like that. So I come up around the corner, and what happens is I see the biggest deer I have ever seen in my life. I mean, it's bigger than an elk, but it's the wrong color. And my brain's telling me that I'm hearing hoof, sounds, but I'm not. I'm not hearing hoof sounds. I'm hearing shuffling sounds. And so I run smack dab into the whole idea that as I'm watching what is happening before me, my brain is lying to me in a big way, trying to make sense of something within the context or within the
Yep.
realm of my
Trying
own.
to find a card catalog match.
Yep, and it's not finding it. But what's happening before me is this deer, as it's running away from me, is morphing between a Sasquatch butt with a big human butt kind of a thing that's hairy and darkish brown with a deer butt. And it's going back and forth so fast that my brain is completely on overload on how to interpret what I'm seeing. My first thought as it was happening was, well, I hope it doesn't run this way because it's so big and I had nowhere to get out of the way. Right? It would bowl me over. So if it was a buck in like breeding season, I would have been in trouble. But instead it ran away. And I remember my first thought was, oh, good. Right. It ran the other direction. And then after it left and I calmed down a little bit, I kept walking, and I was walking the same direction as this thing ran. But since I didn't see it, of course, I wasn't on high alert.
Are all watered.
So then I come to the end of the trail, I turn around, I come back, and then right where I had seen this thing was a baby deer, like a fawn, like not very old at all. And so my brain took that to mean that was just a deer. You were imagining things. And then because my brain decided that, I kept walking and I was okay, right? Well, let's see, probably less than 5 weeks later. So that was May. So May, June, July. Oh yeah, 4 weeks later, or 4 months later, not 3 or 4 months later. And again, I'd been interacting with Talitha this whole time, and our relationship had gotten a lot stronger. I went into the woods, and I'd usually do this trail twice because I was using it to try to keep myself in some form of shape. Anyway, I got down to the lake where I go to, and to get to the lake, I've got to cross a creek, go up a not very well maintained trail, hit the logging road, go down to the lake, and then come back. So I'm on my way back, and I'm coming back to the creek. So this is my first time in, coming down to the creek. And on the other side of the creek, all of a sudden, this dog comes out from the woods. It has no collar. It doesn't look like it's super wild, but it doesn't look super kept either. So, okay. It wouldn't look at me. It didn't give me the time of day. So when you were coming across that creek area, you had to actually just walk through the water, right? There was no way to skirt the water. And what this dog did was it came out of the woods, and you couldn't see very far into the woods beyond it. So comes in down to the water and just doesn't even pause, doesn't look at me, doesn't stop to sniff me, walks through the water, walks right on by, and starts going up the hill behind me. Then out from the woods, again, you can't see behind, so you don't know who else is there, comes what is probably between a 3 and probably 4, 3 and a 4-year-old child, a little boy, in the middle of the woods alone, right?
Right.
Long hair, not so, some parents don't cut their kids' hair.
Right.
He looked kind of wild, right? It's kind of cool. But I'm a dad, and so my father instincts kicked in, like, oh my gosh, there's a child unattended in the woods who has no business being here alone, right? And I'm kind of freaking out because I don't want to scare him,
Right.
but I am thinking to myself, I'm going to have to insert myself here to make sure this child is safe. I didn't have a chance. But by the way, he wouldn't look at me, but his eyes were the size of saucers. He was freaking out. But he just keeps walking, right? He walks to the edge of the water. What would most 3-year-olds do? They'd stop. No. Charges right on through. Walks by me, doesn't look at me, will not look at me. And I'm looking down at him going, this is weird. And just about the time I'm about to say something to him, out of the woods walks this woman who was Talitha, by the way.
Right.
And I went, oh, good, it's the mom. I do not have to get involved here.
Right.
I don't have to worry about this kid getting scared. I just don't want this mom to think I'm some sort of creeper alone in the woods, that represents any sort of danger to her.
Right.
Right. But she's walking towards me. By the way, there's about a 20-foot gap between the dog and the boy and the woman. Well, so the woman comes out of the woods.
And they got clothes on.
Yeah, they've got clothes on. They're like minimal.
But their energy is kind of zombie-like or apparition-like in a way, but they're 3D, right?
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm getting. Like their emotions are not like human emotions at all.
Well, actually, what I got from her, she was amused. She thought whatever was happening right there, and the energy, by the way, I could tell the energy was so off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Vibrationally, they weren't vibrating the human.
No, and not at all. So
right.
She comes out,
okay.
She's walking towards me, and we exchanged just a brief pleasantry. She spoke English. She had a very pretty, melodious voice. I just wanted to assure her that.
What'd she say? What'd she say?
I spoke first. I said, hey, great day for hike. Hope you guys are having a good time. Right. And she giggled and then said something in return. And by God, I don't remember what it was. Anyway.
Dr. Pepper?
Huh? No, that's the second. That's coming up.
Okay.
So then she didn't pause. She didn't, we just passed each other shoulder to shoulder. She walks on by, walks straight into the water.
What'd she look like?
So she presented herself as about a little bit shorter than me. I'm about 5'10". She was a little shorter than me, brown, long hair. She was really quite beautiful, honestly.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming she was. Yeah.
And the little boy, beautiful child as well. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. Well, okay, so she passes me, and out of the woods comes her husband, or a man, and he's very thickly built. He's probably, so she's in her early 30s. They look like really early 30s, late 20s. He looks like he's in his early 30s, late 20s, prime of life, good looking guy. And he's wearing a baseball hat, blonde hair, about probably 2 inches taller than me. And just like I said, really thickly built. Oh, by the way, when Talitha passed, or not when Talitha passed, when the woman passed, I smelled her floral aroma signature. But that confused me even more, by the way, because I thought, okay, well, Talitha's somewhere around, and she approved of this interaction, kind of a thing. I don't know. So then the guy comes out. He goes by. He doesn't look at me and won't give me the time of day. And I'm like staring at his eyes, waiting for him to dart over. I don't know if you know anything about men, but we always check each other out, to see if that's someone to be worried about, or to acknowledge their presence, kind of a thing. No.
Right.
He wanted nothing to do with me. And he walked by. Okay, great. I continued on the trail. I walked to the trailhead. So there's only one way in and one way out of this area.
They said, well, as far as you know.
Hey, Kevin,
Right.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
They all walked out like about 20 feet apart from,
Right. In single
from each
file.
other. So before they actually all left the area, did they gather together, or were they just going on in the line?
They were just going on. They just went on the line. They never gathered
So
together.
they never gathered. That's unusual.
Never.
Oh, highly.
So I went up to the trailhead, turned around, and went to go on my second transit across the trail. And I was pretty sure I was going to see him again. I just didn't know, when or how or what. So I get all the way down. I crossed the creek, and I didn't see them. So I kind of assumed they were either spending the day at the creek. Well, I assumed not the creek, but the lake. And so I figured I'd see them there. So I get up to the logging road, and I'm heading down to the lake, and around the corner, coming up out of the lake area, it's the dog. 20 feet later, the little boy. 20 feet later, Talitha. 20 feet later, the man. And they're just coming, single file. Well, again, the dog, he doesn't seem as freaked out this time, just goes on by, but doesn't give me the time of day. Dogs almost never. In fact, I can't think of any other dog that's ever ignored me. I usually have a pretty good rapport. Thank you, Tom, with dogs. And in fact, better with dogs than people most of the time. So then the little kid comes, and the little kid doesn't look like he's as freaked out either, but still, he won't look at me, won't give me the time of day. He just marches on by. Then Talitha comes by, and she reads my shirt, which says Dr. Pepper.
Oh, by the way, Kevin,
Yeah.
did they have hiking? Did they have backpacks on, or
Nope.
what?
No. In fact, so they had clothing, but there were no belts, no earrings, no necklaces, no watches, no rings, nothing.
And when they
Yeah,
walked to the water, did they get wet?
I don't know. I didn't.
I find that
I was too freaked
when
out.
I've seen
Good question.
when I've seen them in human form, and I'm going to get into my story that kind of ties in with Kevin, but I find that they look off, like their glasses will be like weird, or they'll be wearing, just doesn't look like they're wearing appropriate clothing for the times or something. Just throw something together kind of thing. Is that what
Right.
you got?
There was nothing unusual about them except for they were very simply dressed. They weren't wearing
Okay.
anything that was expensive. In fact, my first thought when I first saw them was, and I'm kind of ashamed that I did this, but I thought in my own head, I thought, lower socioeconomic,
Right, like living in the woods kind of people, you
Right.
know. They
And
got the van down by the river. They keep the
and-
kid out of school, you know, like those kind
right.
of, right. I get
And
it.
and I'm ashamed of that now because now that I, you know, that
They said that's okay. That's just what our humans want to do. They said humans want to know your parameters. Your human brain always sizes everything up. They said just like you know if you're going to hire somebody at a job interview in the first 30 seconds of the interview,
yeah,
that's just what our human brains are used to doing. So it was normal.
right.
I just had a question about when they walk through the water.
I know that
Did
was a
they?
good question. I don't know if they got
Okay.
wet or not. I didn't look.
Oh, I was like, well, did they make a swooshing noise? You know, were their clothes raggedy and wet on the other side?
I'm imagining so, but I honestly was so I it was so incongruous for my brain that I did not notice all the details I should have probably noticed.
And on the second time through, you didn't notice that they were wet or sandy on the bottom of their
They
clothes, right?
didn't they
It
didn't
was
look
just
like it.
okay. Okay. That's what I was wondering.
So,
Okay.
but so we're not done though, by the way.
Yeah.
This is where it gets weird. So
Okay.
Talitha comes up, she's maybe 5 feet from me. She reads my shirt, she giggles and says, "Oh, Dr. Pepper." I said, "Yeah." And I replied with, "Yes, that was one of my favorite drinks. It used to be." And not a lot more was said. As we passed shoulder to shoulder, I was overwhelmed with Talitha's floral aroma to the point where it was intoxicating and overwhelming. So I mean, I'm freaking out a little bit.
In a
Right?
pleasant or unpleasant way.
Oh, totally pleasant. Oh my gosh. When I say intoxicating, I mean intoxicating in a good way.
Yeah, like almost orgasmic, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I'm getting. Okay,
And
yeah. Yeah, she
and
she did
so
that on purpose. Oh my God. She just said that. She was oh boy. She was trying to make herself completely irresistible. Like, okay, you know, like he's gonna want me where he cannot control himself. That's what she was trying to do.
well, she got my attention, that's for sure. And so she passes me, and this is where actually I had a little reality check because her husband comes walking up, and again,
Right.
he's not giving me the he's not giving me the time of day, right, at all. As we get shoulder to shoulder, I see his head turn just a little bit towards me, and he growled, and it was a deep, guttural, warning growl.
That a Sasquatch would do, but a human would not be able to vocally do.
Exactly.
Okay.
I was floored. Like I didn't know how to process this at all. So they kept going. And again, it's a family. They've got a kid. I'm expecting that I'm going to pass them again at some point. So I go down to the water, I drink, rehydrate, and then I turn around and I decide I need to go back up to the trailhead and get back home. So I hike pretty fast. So I'm booking. I never caught up with them. I never saw them again. And that just totally reinforced for me that I wasn't seeing things as they actually were. I was seeing things as she was manipulating me to see them.
Yeah, of course.
So that was the first time that I saw them as humans, not the first time I saw them shapeshift. And then 3 days later or 2 days later, when I went back into the woods, Misha showed me. Oh, by the way, I just got a floral here. Just a minute.
Oh my God.
Misha came around the corner. She had 2 dogs. Oh, one of the things that I noticed. So this is how I realized they read my thoughts like fully. Is my first thought was, oh, they don't have the dog on the leash. That's not right.
Right.
So
Don't fix it second time around.
second time around, she had 2 dogs, and one of them, if you guys had seen this dog, it was the most magnificent dog you have ever seen in your life. It wasn't a big dog. It was like a one of those cattle
Really?
dogs, like an
Like a
Australian
Charlie?
cattle dog, but he was white and he was magnificent. Oh my gosh. So she comes walking around the corner on the trail in another area of that trail that has the energy. In fact, it's next to an area where, by the way, I really think the alien gray or whatever, where they have a ship or a something, because that's what every time I get by there, that's the sense I get. Anyway, she comes around that corner and she's got these 2 dogs. I know it's not me, Talitha, and I didn't find out it was Misha until much later. And she stopped and we talked for a little bit, and it was just pleasantries. And again, anytime a single woman is on that trail, I want to make sure that they know that I'm not some sort of creep. They have nothing to worry about for me. I'm just going to do my business. You do your business. We're good. So I just informed her that I did this trail for exercise and that she'd probably see me another time because I'm going to go, up and down a couple of times. And she giggled and said, "Oh, you're fine." And exactly how she said it. "Oh, you're fine." And then
They were just joking when you said you wanted to make sure that she thought you weren't a creep. She said, "Oh, you got way more to worry about with us than we do with you."
So those were my two really the strangest experiences I've had with them, besides Misha materializing and dematerializing. That was like out there.
Well,
Was that after you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
I wanted to share my part of that story because Kevin and I were. It's funny when you start talking about stuff with the Sasquatch or whatever, then that's when they start showing it. Like, we were talking about shape shifting. I was having experiences, and then Kevin and I were comparing notes, and all this stuff happens. And quite often when we were talking, Kevin would get the floral aroma, or sometimes they would even knock on his wall or whatever.
Yes.
So we could always feel them listening in, and I could actually feel Talitha or a female presence at times too when we were talking. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, what led up to us talking about all this, I think this is what led up to it, talking about all this shape shifting or whatever, is I had a wonderful experience that has a couple different aspects to it that is separate from shape shifting too. And that was, I was going through the campgrounds, and I was constantly finding these little colored rocks, painted rocks that were left on these structures.
Mm.
And this is a campground, so I know kids go to campgrounds and they paint colored rocks and stuff, and they leave them places. But I was very suspicious because a lot of them were left in these structures, and I knew that Sasquatch had left some. But I remember I made a video when I said, I'm not sure, I don't have the answer for sure yet, but I know I'm going to get it. And I remember I put that on the video. About 2 weeks later, because I used discernment, right? You just can't think everything. If you start thinking everything you find, then you lose focus. You lose
Yep.
You lose context or whatever. So anyway, so I'm thinking I'm going to get the answer. So a couple weeks later, I'm going to a campground with a friend of mine who's very connected with Sasquatch, and as soon as we pull in, we can feel them all around us. That the energy is incredible. And he was pulled over to the stump that was just on the border of the campground leading into the woods. Something was calling him over there. And as he went over there, he pulled out a rock from the stump. And he got, not this one. He got mind speak, not this one. He went to the other side of the stump, pulled out a rock, and it was not only a rock, it was painted orange. It was painted orange, which they're very detailed with. They know everything about us intimately. My favorite color happens to be orange. That's not a coincidence. The other thing is that he was led to pull that colored rock out, which gave me my answer, right? That yes, we do leave some of the rocks and some of the toys and some of the things that you find.
Right,
so that was the answer.
Specific to you.
That was my answer. And my friend helped, we facilitated an answer between the two of us. So as we're standing there, all of a sudden, we heard a wood knock up on the hill. And we saw a teenager way up this mossy slope, like way up the slope, knocking on a tree with a stick. As soon as he seen us, he tore off like a mischievous teenager. But the thing is that the terrain is very hilly, very mossy, very soft. It's got downfall, wood all over the place. The best you can do was like step over it gingerly, make your way over it. This guy ran like Carl Lewis.
Yeah,
in
you're
the
saying
100-yard
vibrationally.
in,
you
in the
think it's
100-yard
exhausting.
depth.
Yeah.
The guy was running over this terrain. It was humanly impossible for him to do it. Humanly impossible. And so Kevin and I were, you know, discussing it at the time, and then all this stuff with him was going on, and we were getting all these answers about shape shifting and whatever. And I actually, at that time, um, when I was pondering it, because like I said, I tried to use the Sherman, I had a dream. I was thinking about it, and one night I went to bed, and I had a dream where they appeared in my dream, and I saw a Sasquatch walking by me from right to left, kind of like in the Patty Gate, turned around and looked at me, and as it walked by, it shapeshifted into a human.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That's the first time
oh.
I've heard that one.
No, it isn't.
You sure? I think
That's got to be your dementia kicking in. I've told
Yeah,
you that
probably.
many times. So anyway, so that was my answer to can you shapeshift, and they also gave me the answer to do you leave the colored rocks, and it's just absolutely amazing. So Kevin and I worked out a lot of things between us, and they taught us a lot of lessons together. You know, he would suggest something, or I would suggest something. There was one thing with glyphs that I told Kevin, and he started experiencing some of that too. So it's really great how they bring us together and we discover stuff together, right?
Yeah, don't worry about that whole forgetting thing. Might not be dementia because my friend does that to me. Or my friends will do it to me. They'll tell me something and I'll go, I don't remember anything about that. I don't, unless I have it too. Because I'm like, I don't remember that. And they'll be like, oh yeah. And I'm like, totally wiped it out. So
Are
no,
you
it
guys
should just be
interested?
normal that you're doing that. If you have a lot of stimuli going on in your life at the time, you can kind of lose stuff sometimes too, which I do
right.
a lot.
Are you guys interested in seeing some of the new structures I found? Because I've got some interesting observations about them.
Okay,
Okay.
I have
But first
stuff
of
to
all,
tell.
first of all, I wanted you to finish
hold
off
on.
with Kevin and
You're right.
Yeah, I got to
Right.
go through my notes, but I also did a reading on your structures last night, and I got cards to show you guys.
Oh,
And
my structures.
yeah,
Okay, well, we'll end off showing the structures, but but we have to finish Kevin off properly.
yeah, that's what I thought. What were you going to say, Kevin?
oh, I was going to actually really encourage you to finish me off too, because I don't want to.
Yeah, like
wanna-
we got this to do. Yeah,
No, that's what I'm saying. We want to hear your thing.
yeah. But I also
We'll go a little over if we have to.
Yeah, I took pictures of some cards last night to show you guys about the structures. So I was really excited because it has to do with shapeshifting. And that's the theory of today, the theme of today's reading. So I have shapeshifting things to share about those structures.
Nice.
So we'll get into it. It's gonna be good.
Let's go.
Okay, let me go back through my notes about what we were talking about. Okay, so Talitha and yours energy is completely different than Misha's. Misha's is more just normal platonic. Talitha's is like, you know me, I know you. We have a connection that everyone around us can't even really understand. Our spouses, not as much as you and I. Okay? And so you guys
What are you saying? Hold on a second. You're saying that they're not as connected to their spouses as they are to each other?
Yeah. Energetically.
Oh, that's dangerous information for Kevin, but okay, go ahead.
But not in this lifetime. Okay. It's just it's a soul connection. It's from in between your lives. Okay. This is your true self, your true identities. When we're not down here in avatars, we're not down here doing lives. We're up in between our lives. Okay. You and she are extremely energetically connected and have had many incarnations down here together. And our other worlds, alien connections and earth connections. So your guys' connection is just like kind of like when you meet each other on the planet, it's like your souls know each other very, very deeply, and you haven't had as much depth and experiences with your current spouses, but it doesn't say you don't love them the love you have for them in this lifetime is completely the most biggest thing of your life. But she's kind of trying to bleed through this old, yeah, but you know me. We done each other a long time ago. She's trying to pull that on you, okay? So it was destined that you guys would both be married to other spouses before you met each other. So she's got her spouse, you got your spouse, and she says, yeah, and we're different species. There's that. She's like, I'm a Sasquatch and you're a human. So it's like you guys have very, very strong connections with your mates as well in these lifetimes, super strong connections. But she's trying to cross the lines of, every species and every person, and it was a test. It was kind of a test for you. And you're both supposed to stay with your spouses that you're with and really work on, being in the now of this lifetime, and that's where you're supposed to be. But she was kind of testing you to pull you out of that focus and cross the lines of what could be done. And she's trying to test you, like, do you want to, leave this life and I'll let you be in a Sasquatch body? Come here, it's great. Come be a Sasquatch. She was like this temptress, is what she was doing to you.
Temptress.
And yeah, she was a temptress. But you're not supposed to fall for it. You're supposed to stay.
Temptress.
Yes. You're supposed to stay humanly focused, and you're supposed to stay with your spouse and be focused on your spouse. And so that is why the clan has pulled back, because this whole thing is just a little funky. It's just a little funky going on here. And this is a common thread that's coming on now between my closest friends in this area that my life right now that are working with Sasquatches. Like, many of you have been Sasquatches before, and many of you know the Sasquatches that you're working with from lives where you were a Sasquatch or lives where they were human. So you guys have crisscrossed incarnations together a lot.
All three of us have definitely been Sasquatch before. There's no question about that.
Yeah. So they're trying to bring some of that out. And I believe that some of your soul work is to be open about all this to the human race and let the human race understand. The reason why this is all happening is because we are here to educate humans. Hey, you can look at this person and point the finger, but you could have been that in your past life. You could have been the slave owner in the past life. And now you're a Black person in this life, and you're like pointing the finger and feeling all the hurt of being, your ancestors being slaves. However, in your past life, you might have been the slave owner.
Right.
We have to understand that we are all one. It's getting to the consciousness level that we are all one.
Yeah.
We are all souls. We are one with the trees. We are one with the souls in the rocks. We are one with everything, and we are all equal as souls. And so this cross species thing going on is starting to come out now because of human race needing to hear some of these stories and understand this. You might point the finger at the Sasquatch. Well, you might have been a Sasquatch your last time around, or that Sasquatch might be your best friend from in between your lives. And you guys might have decided, okay, I'll be a Sasquatch in this life, you be a human in this life, and then we'll interact. So it's all soul plans going on. And so you and her have definitely a very sexual connection. It's very sexual in nature, but she's another species, and she's not supposed to be, she's not supposed to take over, but you were just supposed to experience that for your consciousness to really expand to that. And she just said to take some of that energy connection that we have and apply it to your current human relationship and bring the human husband-wife experience to that level. That's what she just said.
Beautiful.
That would be
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, to really work on that deep of an energetic flow with human to human. Because she's saying now, because Sasquatches are just more evolved in that area. They're very more energetic in general. Just like you said, the energy you felt flowing through your body was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You're supposed to start emanating that as a human. That's why you guys are doing this. She said, that's why we're crossing species. That's the work we're doing. But she said, but I did get a little out of hand, and I started to see if you would want to just morph and come back to me and be in a Sasquatch body. But that wasn't really in the plans. The plans was really that you were supposed to just cross over and really feel the energy, but she got a little out of hand. And that's why her husband's unhappy, because she was deviating a little bit too much from what the plan was. And she was kind of just letting herself go and just like, because she really wanted you there for a while. She was very much enthralled with you and she really wanted to see if she could get something going. And so, but now that you understand the whole thing, it might be okay. I think in the future they might start creeping back in again, but you're gonna have to control your energy. You're gonna have to control yourself. See, she said it's kind of like walking a tightrope here. Because when you work with energy, energy turns into sexual energy really easily because that's what sexual energy is. Sexual energy isn't really sex, it's connection to the divine source energy. And
Right.
it just happens to
Right.
light up your whole body. It's a very orgasmic experience. Being connected to source, source created us. When we were created as souls, it was like the best orgasm we've ever had of our lives. That's what orgasm is. It's connection with full source energy through our entire body and lighting us up. And so you just have to kind of learn to understand how to walk that line and be able to understand the energy and work with them and take that energy in a non-sexual. She's like, there's really no such thing as non-sexual, but to have your brain understand that this is source energy that you're in. She said, it's okay if you walk around in that energy field all the time. You can be like that all the time. And you just have to understand what it is and what you're doing with it. And she said at that time you didn't understand all that yet. So you're just like human man going, whoa, what's going on? And she
Yes,
said,
that's
now that you
exactly right.
and now that you
Well,
understand that, you can try to just apply that to being open energetically to everything. And she said humans aren't ready for that yet. That's we turn everything into sex. We turn everything into going and have sex with this person and having an affair outside of a marriage. But she said, you will, as you grow more expanded and more expanded beings, you'll be able to understand that's just uniting with source.
yeah.
That is a fantastic explanation. And that really encapsulates a lot of what I had no one to talk to, right? I didn't understand what was
Right.
happening. And I did come to the conclusion that it was for at least me, I didn't know what I can only use me as an example because I can't tell you what Brian feels or what Tom feels. But I know that when Talitha was really working with me energetically, it bled over into the sexual area,
Absolutely. It just
which
it does.
which was very confusing. It
Yes.
was
Well, that's because you had that relationship with her at one time. I mean, my relationship with Raja Say, the female, she was the first one it wasn't anything like that. There was nothing of that. There was none of that. It was just all teaching and there was love and compassion.
Well, your female Sasquatch person just said, well, that's because that wasn't your lesson you were working on at the time. He's working on this energy thing. That's part of what he's doing. He's here to spread this certain energy to the planet and learn how to emulate that and how to pull more source energy into his body field, into his physical field, and then emanate it out. So that's why Talitha was working with him in that manner. She was really revving it up. But I understand also it's just a different connection. It totally is because when you compare Misha, there's no comparison there energetically connecting wise. You're right. At the same time, Brian, you're totally right.
exactly.
But your Sasquatch woman could have taken it that way with you more if she wanted to. She could have been vibrating your body energetically and doing more things with you there too. But it wasn't what you were supposed to be doing at that time.
Yeah.
That boy, I love you. You have actually just encapsulated everything I've wondered about for the last 4 years
Oh,
in
I'm
just
so
that
excited.
quick little thing. Thank you so much.
You are
You
so
brought,
welcome.
you brought some clarity. So what's really interesting to me is right after Talitha gave me that whole love envelope experience for that several month period while she was doing whatever she was doing in my
Oh
head.
yeah, effing with your brain big time. That's what she was doing.
Um, I just remember thinking to myself, I want to be able to pass this on to all of my human relations
That's what you're
because
supposed to do.
well, I mean, I've not learned how to do it. I mean, that was so profound for me, Holly. You don't even know because I grew up in kind of an abusive, cold environment that I didn't experience that, and so I kind of recreated that in my marriage. And then to all of a sudden have a Sasquatch person do that for me and introduce me to this is what love really feels like. This is what
Yes.
this vibration, this frequency actually feels like. And That's why I fell in love with her,
Yeah.
right? It was because
Right.
it was the first time in my life I felt the love that I think every one of us actually needs. We all yearn for it. We all look for it, but humans are such imperfect vessels. You don't find it with other humans.
But
And
she
I
was
think
also
that's,
cheating a little bit too. She's admitting. She's like, yeah, but I kind of morphed it a little bit into I love you too, energy too. And I could have kept it just strictly God, divine love, but I did kind of, she said she wanted to be as alluring as she could possibly be. And that's exactly what she did very, very well.
yes,
Like,
she did.
the most alluring woman you could possibly put in front of you is the energy she was doing. And she said, now your wife could be a split of my same soul. So just so you know, she could be an aspect of the same oversoul. So it might
Hmm.
it can be a test of souls, but they could be the same soul doing that to you on both sides of the coin.
Really?
Kevin,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say there is hope for you because have you heard of the story of Xena, Russia, in Russia?
Oh, yeah.
That they captured the female Sasquatch and eventually she became tame enough so that the men had
Yes.
relations with her and she actually had children.
Right.
So,
Procreated.
so,
What?
so
I
I
haven't
mean,
heard of
hey,
this. What? What? What?
It's, I believe it's Zana, Zana.
Xena,
No, it's Zana, not Zena.
she, okay, whatever. So anyway, one of those,
She was an
in Russia,
Alma. She was an Alma.
yeah, and they captured her. She was wild. Eventually, and hairy. Eventually, she became tame enough that she had relations with some of the men, and she actually had children, and they actually looked weird, really
Okay, I gotta
strong and
Google that
big and
afterward.
weird.
I'm Googling that. Was she a more human-like looking Sasquatch woman?
I
Yes.
don't know
Like an
if Tom
ancient
wasn't
one?
sleeping, we might be able to find out.
Okay, well, let's skip that for today, I think. But that was very but it's something as a side note for me
Okay,
to Google.
okay,
But
okay. So
but
you have some things to say about the structure. So how about I show you a few pictures and a few videos of them and some of my observations, and you can
yeah,
tell me
but
what
there's
you
one more
think.
thing I want to tell Kevin.
Okay.
So when he said, I just want to make sure I was writing my notes down. I'm like, okay, make sure that I get through what I wanted to tell you back as you were talking. So
I'll let Tom rest.
oh
Yeah.
He's
yeah,
sleeping.
okay.
He's sound asleep.
Well, what happens with Tom is that he was really enjoying Kevin's story and he was going there in his mind. He was feeling everything you were saying. And then that puts him into a meditative state. And then if you go too deep, boom, you slip over to sleep. So
Yep.
that's what he was doing. And I do it all the time. Then I wake up 45 minutes later and go, oh, dang it. But I start off in that trance, right? But if I'm a little bit tired, poof, off I go to sleep for, 40, like I said, 45 minutes. So
Yeah.
I knew that he was tactily experiencing everything you were explaining in a tactile way, but so tactile that he slipped out of this dimension a little bit into the sleep mode. So I'm sure he'll come back. So um okay. So when they said, okay, so the cardiac rehab, okay, your heart, um, all of that, and the paranormal, okay, yep, yep, and okay, yep, okay, yep, okay. When they said prepare for your life to change forever, then after that you had your heart attack.
Yeah. It was after that.
So the reason why that happened to you and the onset of long-term dementia is because you were supposed to be pulled out of your life as it was at that point, and your soul plan was not to continue on as a mechanical. It was mechanical engineer, right? Not electrical, mechanical.
Mechanical. Yeah.
Yeah, you were not supposed to be a mechanical engineer anymore. You're supposed to do all this stuff. You're supposed to be working with all this stuff. So that was your like picking you up off one timeline and dumping you down on another one moment. And from that point on, your life did shift, but that was your soul destiny to do all that. And
Can I ask a
all the
question
and
around, can I ask a question around that?
yeah,
So, um, when I went, but the difference between me going into my bypass surgery and me coming out 12 hours later, I was a different person.
whoa. Definitely a
Like,
shifting event.
like I almost feel like I shifted timelines.
Well, you probably could because we infinitely shift dimensions as our frequency shifts, and different versions of everything around us in Earth is in that dimension. But we have no memory of shifting.
Right. And what happened to me was, I mean, it's not that I wasn't a nice person, but the Sasquatch people had started a transformation in me that was hadn't really necessarily made it to my family yet. And so, my kids, everyone has issues with their parents growing up, right? And my kids had their issues with me, and the relationships weren't necessarily super broken, but they also weren't super healthy. There was a lot of bad feelings on their part, and the worst one actually was with my wife, right? We weren't estranged, but we'd been married for 30 years and weren't super happy together anymore, I don't think. um, after the surgery, I had a near death experience during the surgery where I was surrounded by, and I don't know the exact number, but it was like 6 or 7 beings of light. There was a main being who was on my right shoulder, kind of cradling me, and was speaking what I now know to be my mission in my ear while I was experiencing this. So I'm under anesthesia, right? Or I died. I'm not sure which. And I went to this place, became conscious, 6 or 7 beings of light. They ministered to me. It was what I felt in that place was very similar to what I felt with Talitha, only more so in the love and the
Yeah,
compassion and the healing and the acceptance and I mean, I went to source. I went to love.
right.
That's what I went. And when I came back, I couldn't have articulated anything except for, oh my gosh, I had this experience while I was under, right? And then over the next couple of months, my mission became really apparent. My mission at first was to my kids,
Yep.
and
Spread
that
love.
was to mend the relationships, give them the healing they needed to go on with the uncertainty about whether I was going to be around or not, right? And to make those relationships right. And then my wife, that was a more damaged relationship. Um, I just remember when she was caring for me, but she was caring for me out of duty, right? 100% duty. And so I'm laying there while she's doing whatever she's doing. And I just looked at her and I said, I really don't know how you feel about me anymore, but I can tell you that I really, really, really love you. I don't know what the last time I said those words before then to her, I mean, that at that heartfelt of a level. And what she did, and this gave me all the answer I needed, she kind of looked at me sideways and turned and walked away. Like
Like,
I
who
have
are
nowhere
you?
to
Who's
put,
this guy?
yeah, I have nowhere to put that. And so I'm not even going to address it. And I don't think she believed that the changes
Right.
for over a year. That's my assessment. Um, well, it's been 5 years now, and things are way better, right? Way better. She knows I love
You're,
her. I know
you're
she knows.
supposed to assimilate those lessons, heart lessons, those changes, and the way that you're supposed to interact with people, and just do it every day.
Heart to heart, spread the heart, connect the heart chakra
The
connection.
hard stuff that they've taught you, you've got to like, that's what I try to do. And we all slip up, but that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to apply that heart energy to all our relations, all our thoughts and everything every day.
Oh, I just got a download from your clan. They
From
just
mine,
said, they just said
my
that,
clan?
no, from Kevin's clan.
Okay.
They just
Figure-
said
It
that
figures.
well, we were talking about his journey.
I'm
So
joking. I'm joking.
they said that that's why they pulled back at that moment because right after your heart attack and your surgery, it was your time to really focus on taking the lessons they gave you and assimilating them out to the human race. And if you would have kept and they said like they were directed by who they work with, which is Source, to pull back at that time to let you really settle your frequencies in with your connections with other humans. And that was your work to do at that 5-year period. They're showing me a 5-year block there where you would be going out and really solidifying your frequencies with the humans. And if they came back to you and kept doing more of that heart-to-heart connection, they said because you were lacking it on the human side, you would have neglected your work over there and just kept wanting to go back to the woods.
Oh, no doubt. I did want to go back to the woods. I wanted nothing to do with humans. My
And
experience
so,
with humans has never been
yeah.
good.
Yeah. So now they're saying like you'll get to a point where you can balance both again, and then things should pick back up again with the Sasquatches working with you more directly again. They said when you're ready for the next level, after you have assimilated in the fullness of these lessons with this journey with them, then you will go again and start working with it. And they said it's kind of almost you, like when you reach back to them at a certain frequency, they'll know you're ready and they'll be like, okay, now he's ready for more. So they said you'll kind of be able to mentally handle both and stay in balance, because it's really more important about that you stay in balance with your human side. But the
That makes
part
so
about,
much sense, boy.
but they
That's
also talked
fantastic.
about your onset of your long-term dementia. I'd be really surprised if that ever progressed.
Well,
I'd be
it's interesting
really
you should say
surprised.
that. It's interesting you
I
should say
don't think
that
it's gonna.
because what happened to me was I was all of a sudden, over a course of 2 years, I stopped being able to do my job.
Yeah, because you weren't supposed to anymore.
And then I got depressed because I didn't realize how much of my identity I had tied up in my job. Because you hear about guys doing that, and I chuckled, ha ha. I've never done that. Well, I did, right?
Right.
My job was my identity, and so when I lost that, I lost such a big part of myself that I really had to. I didn't know who or what. I didn't even know what I was, honestly. Um, I wasn't a very good husband. I wasn't a very good dad. Yeah, it was. The one thing I could hang my hat on was I was fairly clever and I could, design things. That's the way it was.
You're
And
way more divinely balanced now than you were then. You were you were missing your divine feminine side, and now you have brought more of that in, and that's why you're working with Talitha, because she was revving up your divine feminine part of your consciousness.
hmm,
So the more you balance your divine masculine and your divine feminine, the more whole you're going to feel as a person.
okay, that's an interesting take on it. And you're probably right. I always assumed it was because in this lifetime, my experience with men has never been good. Masculine energy does not do good things for me.
Yeah, that's because you are more divinely balanced, but you just hadn't opened up that part of your soul yet. And so you don't fit over there because you're not over there with the more divine masculine balanced men that aren't ready to go further with their balance yet. You are ready to go on further with your balance. And the more then that's why you hooked up with Brian, because as you went through your lifetime you started to find who you were, and
Yeah,
now you have a whole different group of friends like Brian, who is a
yes,
very divinely balanced human.
yep, that makes sense because Brian. So Brian and we have an interesting relationship. We're really good friends, but we're more like brothers in the way
Yeah,
we interact than
because
we
you're
are.
divinely balanced people. You're getting to that level. And Brian only has friends that are like that too. Like Brian's, I'm sure through your lifetime, and just like me, when I became more balanced too, like when all of us become more balanced and we become more expanded, we do a lot of kind of falling away with old relationships, and we bring in
Yeah,
the ones that are a match to where we are at that time.
right.
And those men that you don't feel comfortable with are men that aren't open to talking about Sasquatches. You couldn't sit down with that beer and tell them about the shape shifting. Sorry.
No, there's very few people I really could.
Right. Because there's very few divinely balanced men.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So what do you think, guys?
Okay.
Uh,
I think
should we
that's
go
good for
on to
that.
some of the structures, or do you have some more for Kevin? Because Tom's gone,
I'm
so
feeling
we
good.
don't
No,
have
I'm
time
feeling
limit
ready
now.
to move on.
I'm
Tom's
here.
back. Tom's back. You
I'm
can
feeling
turn
ready
it.
to move on. How about you
I thought you were
guys?
sleeping.
Holly, thank you
No,
so
I've got a
much.
bad
Well, you
eye.
are so welcome.
I've got a bad eye. I was
Okay,
sleeping.
so should we,
Okay.
I want Tom to see these too. Should we look at these videos? And I want to point out a few things. And then you took some notes as to what you think about them,
Yes.
right, Holly?
Yeah, I'm gonna get my pictures. I'm gonna see if my pictures are on my Google photos yet, so I can screen share. Yep, they're there, so I can screen share later, and I can go to my Google photos later to
Okay, let
show
me
you.
just see if I can find where these are
I gotta
now.
get my notes. What did I write down? Where's my note paper from last night? Where I wrote down what they were saying. Let me see. Where's that now?
I don't know if this is the right thing. Okay, oh yeah, it is. Perfect. Can you see that?
Just says you start. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yep.
Okay, so I apologize because, hang on a second. What's going on here?
They're a little bit blurry, and I know they're not.
Why do I have this thing here? Anyway,
I
no,
have
they're
my
well,
note
they're
paper.
a little fuzzy because Charlie was on the end of the leash.
Excuse me.
He was pulling me. Okay, so I'm just going to start playing this and stop it and point out a couple of things, okay?
Okay.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to put it on pause. You can't hear that, can you? Or could you? No, I don't want to. I don't want to play. I don't want to play the video or the audio anyway. That's not what.
Wow.
Okay, this is something that I see in golden ears all the time. This is a leaner stick.
Yep.
This represents the individual who built these. I see these all the time. The individual will quite often leave a calling card or a stick, sometimes or a track or a glyph or whatever. But we've seen that a lot, eh, Tom?
Yeah, certainly. I'm
So I'm just
sorry,
going to run over. Yeah.
I'm still muted. Yeah,
Of course, you see all the moss and everything on the bottom, which is kind of a trademark of the clan that I think that they left a lot of the stuff that I recognized that this clan here may not necessarily do, or maybe my clan was involved with it, but they left me stuff that I would recognize, so I could obviously piece it together that it was them, although it's not that hard. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Hang on a second. Another thing. Just watch this for a second.
Oh, I know. It's not on paper. It's in my Gmail. Okay, got it.
Okay. Here we go. So you see this one over. You see this one over here? One of the things that they do a lot is they'll have a stick extending from a structure or whatever, especially like teepees and stuff. So that's something that another trademark thing that they do. You've seen that too, right? Oh, and this too. The curved stick around the base here.
yeah, that's very important.
That's
What
another thing that they
Why
do a
is it
lot.
very important? Why is it very important, Tom?
It's closure. It's closure to the meaning of the TP itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're telling me it makes
Okay.
the energy stronger.
Yeah.
It encapsulizes more energy
right.
into the structure, is what they're saying.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right.
Okay. So here's some of the still picture. Like I said, here's that. You can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's that stick that's like I said, that's a trademark. This is a trademark. The moss is a trademark. All these little ferns and whatever, like garnishing it, is something I noticed too.
Yeah. You don't have sword fern there.
No. Here's a man Sasquatch connected
Yep.
bluff that was right there. And you notice how even though this could be twisted by human because it's not very thick, this is still a trademark thing. See how this is hand twisted?
Yep.
Hold on. I was just sending you the photos so later on we'll be able to go through those. Okay. Hand
Okay.
twisted. Where? The branch, the
Right
Y
here.
part?
Right at the Y. Right where
Okay.
right
Right
where
where
the
the
Y is
what?
off.
It's
Okay.
twisted right here.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Look at the size of that one. And that's got a big opening over here. Isn't that amazing, eh?
It is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How, I mean, how much of the ground did they have to cover to get that many sticks?
Well,
Because
this, yeah, I mean, look at it. Yeah, this is probably normal, over here, whatever. There's not a whole lot. There's some sticks here, but to gather all these sticks for this one and that last one, this one
Yeah.
here. No,
Yeah.
sorry. This one here. Like, this is not a place where people camp. This is not a place where people can't have fire. I've never seen anybody go off the trail. I just see people walking. I've never seen anybody walking around in here. Of course, I've only gone there 5 or 6 times, but that's not human made. There's
In the
just
future, it would be really good if you could take one picture of it just by itself, like you are now, so we could read the energy, and another picture of somebody standing in it. And if you're by yourself, just put your phone on video, walk over there for a minute, stand really still, then come back again, and you can screenshot that later. Because I'd like to see like the one before this with the opening, with the teepee opening, but it was a shelter with a V-shaped door. How tall was that door? Because when I'm trying to read
okay.
the energy of it,
I'll go to that.
I'm
I
trying
don't
to
use
figure out, like,
I don't use this. I don't use a phone. I use a camera, so I'd have to get some. I'd either have I could maybe set it up on a tripod and do it,
yeah,
or get somebody to help me.
or
Maybe
put
Kevin
out,
if
or
he
bring
had.
out, or just bring a tape measure with you, and lay out the tape
Yeah.
measure to the top and say that's a
Okay.
6 foot line, or this is how tall I am, or it's 4 foot tall. Because when I'm looking at the V-shaped thing, I'm trying to figure out, can an adult Sasquatch walk inside of there, or do they have to crouch down? Can they really fit in there or not? Because that
No,
when I'm trying to ask them
no.
what they're used for, it helps
They're
me to
not.
know.
People say, well, a lot of people who are thinking on a practical level, which we know is not always good because practicality is not always reality. Say that well, they can't even fit in there. It's a structure. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But they're not necessarily used for that. I
Well, I'd
mean,
just like to know the parameters. Yeah, because I can ask them, like, are
I
you
mean,
sitting in
they
there?
have energy applications. They have, I learn a lot. They teach me a lot from looking at them about who they are and whatever. So there's many different reasons. But
Yeah.
okay, here's that one you're talking about. Yeah, I mean,
No, not this one. It's that one. How tall is that opening?
I could crawl in it, but I'd have to bend way down. It's probably only 4 feet.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. That's
so,
what I thought, but I just wanted to know if my eye was seeing it. It helps me to have a little scale to know how tall things are.
yeah.
No, I
These
mean they may
men,
have they may put a baby or something in there, but I don't think that
yes.
most of these are for.
Well, that one is a crash. That's for a child.
Okay,
That's to be held
Sure.
that's
safely.
what I'm.
Yeah,
That's cool correlation because that's what I've gotten about some things in the past, and these two as well, is like they're like little safe places to put the babies and the toddlers when
absolutely.
they're off doing something. They say,
Yeah,
you
That's
stay
right.
in here and do
I
not
mean,
move.
there's definitely that to them for sure. But I mean,
Yeah.
but okay, this gives you a good idea. I mean, look at the ground here. There's some sticks, but there's not a whole lot. So let's go back to this one. Do same thing. How long do you think that would take a human being who's not even camping there and can't even have a campfire and hang around really? I mean, they could hang around, but how long do you think it would take for them to gather that and build that? And plus, there's a big opening here where it goes, where it goes in. That would take them. I mean, I can't see a kid being motivated to do it for one thing.
No, way too much work for a kid nowadays. They would never be patient enough to do that. And they wouldn't. The elders just said, well, they wouldn't build that anyway. They would build themselves a fort. They wouldn't build like that.
Well, I've seen some extensive ones that have no purpose whatsoever that cannot be used as a fort. In all
No, I mean
honesty,
a kid,
this
a
one has
human
an
child.
opening here. There could be somebody that goes in here. It could be used. This one could be used as a fort,
I
but
mean,
it's
like a
just
human person, a human kid. Like they would build something that's more shaped like a house. They wouldn't just put a whole bunch of things over top of
Right.
a ravine like that. They would say, oh, let's do some walls. Oh, let's put a roof on. They would emulate their human dwellings out in the
right.
woods.
Other than that,
But
that's
people just
about
don't
it.
understand how
Other than
how,
that, that's
how
about
much
it.
Oh,
Back to
gathering there
yours.
is sorry, how much gathering there is involved in that. I mean, it's just too much. Anyway, so, oh, here's another one. See, now here's a little one. Sometimes these little ones are more compelling than the big ones because, theoretically, some of the big ones could be used as a fort, although I don't believe that. Well, kids may use them after the fact, but I don't believe that they built them, some of them, many of them. But this one, there's no purpose for a human to make that little thing.
Thomas, can
You know
I
what I
come
mean?
in?
Right. I totally get
I
you.
mean,
Sometimes I
there's
get the
no,
energy that the little ones are actually practicing. If it's something near the adult that looks the same, I get that the small children are building something while the adults are building something.
you're absolutely right. I think that too. I've seen like big structures, big huge ones, and I've seen little tiny little representations of the big one right beside it. And
Yeah,
I just knew it was a big juvenile or an
me
adult or
too.
somebody building it, and the little ones were just playing and copying it.
Yeah,
So
it keeps them
you're
busy.
absolutely right.
They have to have something to do too when the adults are busy doing their real work and they don't want them involved. They're like, go build your own. Go build this one over here. Okay, we'll do this while you do that.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, now
Okay.
you had said that the teepees meant something to you personally, but you were interested in what I got on it too. So, do you want to start with what I got on it first, or do you want to tell me what you got personally first, and then I'll tell you my reading because I did write my reading down on a Gmail so I can go through what I
No,
got.
tell me what you got.
Okay. Okay. So let me bring up my Gmail here that I typed it on last night. Okay, so I said, what are the teepees? And they said they referred to them like I thought Kevin was asking me a question. Uh, they referred
Sorry.
to me. No, that's okay. This isn't the question, but I thought you were gonna go. Oh, can I say something? But no. Okay, so they said the teepees were similar to the Great Pyramids of Egypt, energy wise.
Right.
Because I have been getting a lot of downloads. I've been led to a lot of information on the Great Pyramids of Egypt for the last 2-3 weeks now, since they found the big caverns below them. But I've also been told for the last several years by Ray on Unified.com's series is with Ray that the Great Pyramids of Egypt are actually ships that can travel. They're actually they can go off. They're like spaceships and they can levitate and leave and come back. And now that we're finding more evidence of that being the case from the energy below can build all the energy for them to be able to take off. So, and at one time that they were traveling ships. So energy wise, they can gather a lot of energy and then they go woof and then off they go, right? So that's what they're saying that these pyramids were like other energy gatherers for
Mhm.
them and they can really and then they told me that it's the energy from the forest around them, but the pyramids are concentrating the energy. So it brings it into a concentrated beam. And
Right.
um then they stand in between those and the energy for those and use the energy for transportation. So they were showing me standing in between the two pyramids in the middle. They would stand in the middle and then they could gather all the energy from both sides and boom, they can transport themselves
Hold
to
on a
different
second. Are you
locations.
talking about the ones that I
Yeah,
found or the actual the
yours.
TPs? Let's call them TPs instead of
No,
pyramid.
your teepees, your two teepees, that they would stand in the middle between the two teepees and gather a bunch of energy and then they can just boom, they can just be gone. Like they can quantumly travel out of there or they can come back from the energy gathered from in between those two structures um is what they were saying. And then they said then they started making the song. I had just been to take a mental break and I was dinking around on my timeline and my friend's uh picture was playing in the background. ABBA. It says, you can dance, you can fly, having the time of your life. Ooh. Dancing Queen. And so it was playing that. They were playing that in my mind. They were playing it in my head as I was doing the reading. And
Thank you
they
so much. I'm going to be thinking of that song all day now.
I know. They were like, you can dance, you can
Dance with
fly.
me.
Yep. Dancing Queen, shout out to Dancing
Yeah.
Queen.
Oh
And
my
so
God. Thank you very much. I'm never having you on the show. I'm just
I
kidding.
know, I know, I know. I hate that song. Okay. So yeah, you can dance, you can fly, having time to climb. And then so then brings up my first card. So do you want to bring up my picture of the first set of cards I sent you? Um
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to have to save them then or
it's
whatever.
in first,
Okay.
it's in your Facebook messaging. You can just
Oh,
screen
you want me
share
just
and
to
open up.
share with you and you can bring them up. Can you do that?
Okay, I can bring them up. Okay, then give me a minute to
It,
go over to my Google Photos. So hold on a second and I'll bring them up. I just gotta go over to my Google
okay.
Photos
I'm just going to
right now.
give you the share. Otherwise, I got to
Okay, hold. Don't give
take
me the
them
share
and,
yet. Don't give me the share yet. I don't have it up yet. So I'll let you know when I'm ready. Um,
but I have very much the same feelings as you do about them. Plus, there's always lessons or whatever that they show me about themselves in there, you know.
oh yeah, let me
And
go back
so,
to the right Gmail. Hold on, I gotta do it this way. This is the easiest way. If I go through this Gmail, then I go to my photos, it'll bring up the right Google Photos.
so quite an enlightening show for you, eh, Kev? Got a
Oh,
couple
wow.
answers. That,
Yeah. And what I found, what I'm taking away from it is, and this is my positive, is this pullback isn't necessarily forever. They may re-engage.
No, no, I don't think it will be for
so,
you at all.
so Kev, I know this is a dangerous question for you, and you probably don't want to answer it. But what would you have done if they had said, okay, well, if you can be a Sasquatch, you've experienced it. They said, do you want it? Do you want to be that? Is that what you want?
At the time, well, I'll be honest, at the time I would have said, yeah,
So you would have went for it.
yeah.
What?
With what I
Wait. Did
was,
you just ask him if he would have decided to defect as being a Sasquatch? He would have said yes.
Well, remember
yeah,
when she was saying
Yeah,
the
yeah,
female was saying Otten was interested in a
yeah,
relationship, whatever.
yeah,
And if Kevin had, I wonder if Kevin would have said yes, and I suspect he would have, yes.
yeah.
oh,
At that
my,
time.
yeah, at that time, my life as a human was not great. I mean, yeah, I had people around me that loved me for sure, but I don't really think they'd missed me that much. And
These are the profound lessons that they would have.
I would, Kev. I'll miss you.
They would have. This is the
I will.
profound
I will
lessons.
miss you. Actually, you're one of the most. You're one of the most. You're genuine. There's not an ungenuine bone in your body in relation to Sasquatch or whatever, or ego. And that's something I really admire in people, and you don't see very often. So you're one of those guys, which I like. So I
thank you, Brian. I
appreciate it.
take that as a huge compliment coming from you, for sure.
Well, I mean it.
I know you wouldn't say it. That's one of the things I appreciate
Well,
about you.
actually, I was just joking. I just want to make you feel good.
Ah, you're so funny.
No, they were telling me that you can contrast where you are now, consciousness wise, and you can look back at that time and you can see how much different your consciousness is now than it was back then. And you can attribute those lessons to them. They knew
100%.
they were working with you to get you to here. And isn't that nice of them that they were pulled back? They pulled back out of love for you, not
I
of disdain
know.
for you. They pulled back so that you could allow yourself to expand in the way that you're supposed to be. And they said so you could do your job because they knew the soul plan. And then they bring you so far and then they dump you and make you do it on your own. That's what happened to me too. And so I fully understand
Yeah.
it.
Yes,
I
that
mean,
dump part that doesn't feel very good, though, right? I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you that.
if it doesn't feel very good, then that's out of alignment. Your perspective isn't in alignment yet about it because
Amen. Amen.
it's always a positive perspective that should be had to what's going
Yeah.
on. So
And,
hopefully
and
that helps you bring it more positive.
yeah, and that brought me into Kevin's life to bring him up to speed, but he's a slow
Absolutely.
learner. He's not listening. He's not
I'm-
listening.
I'm listening. We just argue about it a lot.
I know. I'm teasing
Very
you. Do
interesting.
you want
Yes,
you want that share thing going on now, Holly?
Yeah, I'm ready now. You can share when you need to.
Okay, you're ready.
So am I on?
Yeah.
You're not showing it.
Can you see my tarot cards?
No.
Okay. Do I have to go and do a screen share thing with the meeting myself?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hold on a
You
minute.
have to share. You have to
Hold on.
share
I
that
gotta go to the
actual
meeting. Hold on.
application.
I don't have the meeting screen up in full screen. Hold on. Wait, that's what I have to do. I have to go to full screen for a minute on the meeting, and then I have to go to share my screen and share. Now you guys should see. Now you see
Yep.
my screen,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we see
Okay.
that you've started screen sharing, but your application isn't showing up yet. You have to actually. There you go.
There you go. So,
It just took a minute.
Kevin, what are you going to do with this information? Just marinate with it for a while?
Well, yeah, my takeaway, whether I don't know whether I'm right or not, my takeaway is I'm actually on the right path. I would sure love to have a little more guidance for sure. And so I'm going to ask for more guidance, but I also understand that my path is still my path, and that's fine. That's good. And I'll just continue on trying to be the best version of me I can possibly be.
Yeah. So Holly, before you get totally into these cars, can I just ask you a quick question? I mean,
Anytime.
I ask questions. Sometimes I have a good idea of the answer, but I just want a different perspective. But because my job as the host is to ask questions, sometimes I ask questions, it doesn't mean I don't know what I'm asking, but you want different perspectives and you want a wider perspective and a different opinions on it. But I mean, I know I feel RE with me all the time. He can still come to me, when I think about him. As a matter of fact, he's here right now. He just said, yes, here I am. Oh, I feel really strong. But what is the connection between RE and this new clan, and what is their plan? I know you went into it, and that's maybe too big a question for a few minutes, but you did go into it a little bit the last time. You were saying that they have different lessons to teach me or something, right?
Well, when I saw those structures on your land yesterday, or was it day before yesterday into yesterday?
Well, it's not my land, but it's 15 minutes up the road.
Yeah. I mean, like where you live now. I just went, they are like welcoming you in with a huge statement.
Absolutely.
I'm like, whoa, like, whoa, yeah, like he's supposed to be working with those guys. It was just like kind of like the new chapter. They just turned the page and they showed you a glimpse of where you're going, And so it was just like this, and Ari was like in the background, and this new clan was like taking the reins for a little while, is what it was. And I was like, after you keep working with this new clan, you're gonna bring they just said it's about more versus one or the other for you. It's not working with one or the other. It's about bringing in more Sasquatches into your life. So you're going to start to feel like you're really connecting directly with all the members of this new clan for a while. And Ari said, same thing as what happened with Kevin. I'm kind of taking a back seat for a little while because you're supposed to, if I was always there, that he just said you would stay on the same frequency. If I was always there, you'd stay on the same frequency and be on the RE frequency. And so if they have to step back so that we will
that's not a bad frequency though. But yeah, I understand.
To the other to expand to even more. They said like humans have a little bit more of a scarcity mentality, and we have to understand that there's no scarcity. We can keep bringing more and more and more and more. So he said, so in the end, you can have our at the same volume level as the new clan. But if he came in now, you would keep the new clan at a little bit lower volume level.
You're right.
And so that's what you're working on right now, is you got to turn up your volume level on the new clan and see what they have to do with it. But Ari, he said, but once I'm in your consciousness, he said, remember, we're all one. Remember, how do the Sasquatch know everything about everybody that they're working with? How does the five, everywhere I go now, I have a clan. I worked with a clan when I was just in Utah last week. They sent me, when I was skiing up in northern Minnesota on Thursday, the clan up there gave me a hello message. Everywhere I go, I've got more and more and more and more and more coming in. That's where you're at now. You're at the level of bringing up the more. But our Year's connection is so strong. You could handle it. He's like, you could handle it. If you can do it, do it. But if you can't, I'm going to set back a little bit and make you do this other frequency and solidify that. And then I'll come back in. Around. So he said, think of the more. Everybody's there infinitely.
What do you think the connection between Ari and myself is? I think that I've heard that we were brothers, and I feel that we've got a family connection.
It has a very strong, solid lifeline, just like him and Talitha have. A very strong, just like Tom does with his clan leader and her daughter. It's very, very strong, energetic line. That's all. Yeah. That's how I can read it. I can read it as the energy connection between you guys And that one is definitely, and because it's so strong, that's why he had to step back just a little bit to let the other clan people come in, because the new clan is a lot of smaller energetic lines, short, smaller energetic lines, and the one with him is very long and very thick.
Yeah.
And that
You know,
means you've had more experiences with him, or that you're more connected to him, because there's more energy flowing between you two guys.
yeah, it's interesting how they've got as, the people that they were connected with, and, the possibility, well, not possibility, our past lives as Sasquatch or whatever. It's very interesting that this time of enlightenment, time of knowing and quickening, as people say, because it is the time of knowing. I mean, I've got this big knowing that I just got from a download, and I know people are getting that. So when people talk about the time of knowing, I'm experiencing it and living it and seeing it, and I know what's happening. But I forgot my point on that. The time of I can't remember where I was going with that. But
It'll
anyway,
pop back in 2 seconds. It'll pop back in.
but anyway, oh, that's why
See, told you.
that's why they're contacting all of us people or whatever, because it's time for us to put that out there into
Right.
the consciousness
We
and
are
wake
all
people
one.
up. And that's what we're doing. That's the work
Yeah.
that we're doing.
So the new clan, when I was reading the energetic lines of the new clan, they're kind of like bringing in your friends. Like they said, it's kind of like when you go to class, we're all your classmates. And then Ari is like your mentor. That's
Oh
what it
yeah.
is. They're kind of like, their energy is just kind of scurrying around you. Like they're your social group. They're your friend group. And then
Yeah.
Ari is like, when he walks into the room, everybody's like, okay, Ari's here. Like that. And, and
Yeah.
and and your soul connection to him is very much it's very much on a different level. He just said
I've
that loud.
heard I've
He
heard
said on a
somebody
different
actually
level.
say I've heard somebody actually say it, and it could be very true that he's part of my oversoul, that we're one and the same kind of thing.
You could be a split of the same
Even
soul.
though we're all connected, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to do a deep dive dig on that and do a reading and really pull into that to find out more on that with him. He's just showing me because he says it doesn't matter. So he's pulling back on that part and he's just saying it doesn't matter. We're just connected as souls. And he's just showing me your soul connection. And he doesn't want to get into the little detail nitty-gritty things at this, he said at this exact moment. He wants to just show you the energetic line and the connection energetically. He wants you to think of it on an energetic level, is what he's talking about to me right now. He wants you to really
Yeah.
tune into the he said he wants you to start working on, really tuning into just that flow and like the river of energy coming and read the differences. He wants you to be and that's what they said the last time too. They said that the new clan is doing a lot of frequency work with you. And that's what he just said. He said he wants you to start working on everything on a frequency level and just reading the energetic lines of frequencies between everything with those Sasquatches and him and the differences there. That's what he wants you to really fine tune right now. So that's why he wouldn't tell me.
Okay. Well, should we get into these cards?
Yeah, sure. So what I was asking them was, I was asking them, what do you use these teepees for? And they gave me the you can dance, you can fly, having time of your life. And I was getting that it was that these were like pyramids. And so they were showing me the first card, Looking to the Sky, which is when it comes to the teepees, that's thinking of the energy of the star people and up into heaven and the heavens and like the sky and like who's up there and whose energy is connecting with me in the woods down here. So that's them connecting with their star people.
Hmm.
So the pyramids help them connect with the alien races that they work with. Okay. And then the second card is Taking Flight. The people, and see the two columns? That's each pyramid. They just made that jump out to me. I didn't even see that till right now. In the High Priestess card, the two columns are each teepee, and the person in the middle is taking flight. See, like I said, they're building the energy so they can poosh. They said they show me like in Star Trek when they go energize. They're like, where do you think that stuff comes from? So like they're in that little thing and they're beaming up, right? Where do you think it comes from? That's what these guys are doing with the two teepees. They're making it an energizing field. so they can do what they want with it. They can leave completely, turn into an orb, take off, or they can actually go up to a ship or come back from a ship. Um, and then that's what the Two of Cups card is also about. See the beam of light between the two people and seeing each other and changing dimensions and things. It's all just like dimensional answers about what they're doing with that. And then the king is floating above the earth. He's way big compared to the earth below him because we're up in the sky, we're floating with the king. And that's another thing that these pyramids are doing for them in the woods. And then the guy lying down, um something about sleeping with that energy above are the energy, levitation, transportation, turning into an orb. Yeah, like something with that, because it's the energy of the pyramids is above him. Those are the swords. Then he's lying down flat. And so I'm not sure if it's they lie inside the teepee as well, like the youth or the small. But then I was asking them, why are they so small? Why are the teepees so small? Do you not go inside? And then they gave me the next card, which, let's see if I go this way. No, hopefully that's a horse thing. Hold on, this way. This way. So they gave me this one here. No, that was the chariot, the sun on top of the chariot. Oh yeah, they gave me the chariot card. I don't have a picture of that one right now, but I could Google it, but we don't need to. It's a person in a chariot, and there's a sun. Well, yeah, okay, I do have to find that. I didn't send you that, so hold on a second. Let me just go to we'll just bring it up as I'm talking. So they're talking about the chariot, and I'll find that here. I'll put it right here. I'll say chariot, Gilded Tarot Royal. And I'll bring it up on Google Images for you and show you the chariot card quick. Here it is. So they're talking about why they make them so small. And my internet's being really slow because I'm on a Zoom call with you guys. So there's a sun on top of the chariot. And then I said, oh, so they're lining up with the sun at a certain time. And that's what they're saying, that the teepees are put there to line up with the sun at a very specific time. So they're harnessing the sun, the light coming into the teepees, and that they are inside. And so the immense focus and power of the woman's mind. Where's the chariot card? It should be coming up in a second right here in this blank spot, but it's like being really, 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 really slow. Let me just go. Wait a minute. That's not even right. Let me go back to that again. There it is. Okay. I clicked on the wrong thing and it took up an ad. And we're back to the same thing again. It should bring up the picture of the
Well, can you
chariot.
just talk about it maybe? Do we
I'll
have to
just do
say
it a
it?
different way. There. Can you see the chariot right here?
Yes.
Okay, so
Being
that's what it
pulled by
is.
the sphinxes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. The lady and the thing. So I'll find it on a different card here. Here, if I find it here, this should work. Hopefully this will bring it up big. There we go. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so there's a sun above her. Now, the two fabric things coming down, the purple fabric on both sides, that's the teepee. And the sun is coming into the teepee.
Mm.
So it's lined up with specific frequencies of different times of year with the sun, or certain time of day, or some sort of energy coming into the teepee with that. And then they're talking about the immense focus and power of the woman's mind. So she's really, really focusing with her mind inside the teepee with the sunlight coming in. And that says they are the immense focus and power of the woman's mind. And they said that you can't really understand it. They said to me, like, we're trying to explain it to you in English, but you guys can't really get it. And that's what they're doing with the teepees, and that they're talking about opposing energies. So each sphinx is opposing energies, and each teepee is an opposing energy. So the left one might be negative, the right one might be positive. Because when you take like a negative and a positive energy together with the magnets, that creates the thunder and lightning in the sky, is the opposing
Right.
what do you say, polarity. The focusing the opposite polarities of the energy is what creates the most immense energy on this planet.
Mm,
They were
that makes
talking about
sense.
how each teepee might have a different polarity to it. And then between that, it's just like, but so they're talking about and so they were talking about this also a training. So they were talking about like this enables levitation, and they said recognize your own strength and ability. So then they were talking about training the young Sasquatches. So like the adults, I don't think that the evolved Sasquatches need this, but the younger ones are being trained. And then I was also getting that I'll go back to my other card now. They were showing me in the cards. I asked them who is using this, and they were saying that it was the youth being trained. So here is the Page of Wands, which is a youth Sasquatch. And if you look at the energy right here in the middle of the wand, do you see that light beam there where my cursor is?
Yeah.
That's the power between the two pyramids. So there's one pyramid on the left, one pyramid on the right, and on the because that wand is open. It's like a U shape, and then there's this light beam coming in to the middle of that wand. So they're showing me that the youth are getting trained with this use of these pyramids, but I think that they're sending because this is a youth here, this Knight of Swords is a youth, and the Knight of Pentacles is another youth. And then the king is the father Sasquatch, and he's teaching them. And then the tower card is the youth being shot up. And so I think that I learned from someone else that the youth spend time with the star people. When they get to a certain age, they leave and they go work with the star people and they get trained. And then they come back. And so they're being used as portals or transportation portals to transportate the young men, Sasquatch, up to the young boys, the youthful boys, teenage boys, up to work with the aliens that they work with. So that's what this one was about, which I thought was really freaking cool. And then there was another, a final card that I'm trying to get to the arrow. Where can I get to turning the page? Where is that?
Right there. You got it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to get the other side. Here's the other side one. There we go. It was inside the card. There should be one. Okay. That's the same card again. Okay. That's the same card again. So let me get my third card because I had a third card where I asked them what they use them for, and that's what I wanted to show you. It was absolutely mind-blowing to me what they do with the third card that I gave you. I think I sent it to you on Facebook, but let me just go back to my Google Photos tab here quickly, and I can bring it up here from my Google Photos, which I had open. Oh, that was the Google Photos tab. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to the main menu here and back up one page. It'll show me the third photo. When I asked them a question, I said, "Who uses these, or what are you using these for?" They gave me all the same cards again, which blew my mind because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Oh, but that card didn't, that one didn't, okay, that one didn't get, I gotta go to my Photos app. The third card they gave me is, wait a minute now. Is it that much the same? Oh, yeah. Hold on. High Priestess thing. And then the wands again and the thing. I didn't get it in the picture. When I asked them, okay, that's all my pictures. So, now I'll just have words that I asked them. So when I asked them, and I wrote this down on my thing, who's using these? They gave me like the same cards again. They gave me the same Page of Wands and the same King of Cups. Oh, I should go back to that again here. They gave me all these things again that I had up before. They gave me, when I said, who's using it? This is what they gave me again. They gave me the Page of Wands. I'm like, what? Then they gave me the King of Cups. And then they gave me the Tower card. And they gave me the Knight of Pentacles. And they gave me the Knight of Swords. So this is the answer for who's using them. And before it was in different order. This knight was not here. This knight was in another order before. It was over here. And the king was second.
Right,
Remember
right.
that?
I remember that. Yeah, you're right. The
This
king
is
was
the
in the
next
middle.
pull. So I did get all three pictures. So this is the final pull. This is who's using it. Isn't that crazy? So they gave me the same freaking cards again. When I
Yeah.
asked what you're using them for, they gave me it in a different order. Then I shuffle my deck. I shuffle all 82 cards. And then I said, what are you using? Who's using them? Bam. Same freaking cards again, only in a slightly different order. That blew my mind. And I wanted to show you guys that. I'm like,
Awesome.
again, it's the youth being transported and the fathers teaching the boys how to do these things with their consciousness, teaching them
Yeah.
how to transport or shapeshift it to an orb or or they also said it's a safe land. It's a safe place to work on levitating. They said if the boys are levitating within the teepee, they won't accidentally shoot off somewhere and get hurt.
Ah.
And that's why they have the moss on the ground. So when they go back and fall down to the ground, they have a softer landing.
Ah.
So they're like
So-
levitation practice teepees.
So let me add, okay, so I want to end it off with Kevin if he has any questions. I mean, he might have a few more questions for you to wrap up some of his thoughts, whatever, but I wanted to ask you before we do that, and then we should think about wrapping the show up, is do they want me to do anything with those TPs? Do they want me to work with them?
They just showed me you sitting inside one of them and meditating.
Yeah, Brian,
I
you
was
better
in-
start meditating.
Well, that'll be the day. I don't know how to, I just can't meditate. My mind is just, I know.
I
They
can
say
teach
when
you a
you-
technique. I can teach you a technique. You basically you don't have to work on making your mind do anything. You just sit cross-legged style in the middle of the teepee. I see you on the one on the left when you're looking at them from the front side, the left one. I can show you which one in the picture if you bring it back up, but they show you sitting in there and you just close your mind, you just close your eyes and you just think body asleep, mind awake. Body asleep, mind awake. And then you start looking through your closed eyes and see what you can see with your eyes shut. Look deeper, deeper, deeper into the blackness
Mm-hmm.
with your mind awake and your body asleep. That's all you have to do.
Okay, I think I know which one they want me to stay in. See if I can bring that picture up quickly.
Okay. What are you getting, Kevin? Everything I just said. What are you getting on it?
Oh, I agree with you. And I from a technique standpoint, Brian and I, this has been a topic of discussion with Brian and I for a long time. I learned how to meditate probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And that actually led me into out of body experiences and astral
too.
projection, all sorts of things. And it just sort of
Me
happened.
too. Me
I
too.
didn't try. And prior to 6 years ago, prior to my experience with my Sasquatch clan, I never had any success with it, frankly. So I kept encouraging Brian because of what it allowed them an extra avenue of communication with me that they didn't necessarily
Yes,
normally have.
absolutely. It's huge. That's why they made him for him because they want him to start doing it. They said they gave you some tools. Well, they said that's why they led you to them. They said they were for our own children, but they said, but you are one of our children and we want to train you in this. So, like I said, I already said it's all about frequency for you. This is what you're working on. You're bringing up frequency tuning and you have to meditate to work with frequencies better.
She's talking to
Okay,
you, Brian.
anyway,
Yeah, so Kevin's laughing. Kevin's like, touche. Yes, 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 and yes, and yes.
Yep.
yeah, anytime that I can get tuned up, Kevin enjoys it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're hesitant in that area. That's your weak area. You're hesitant in that area with your consciousness. So they're making you become a more rounded individual.
So they
there.
want me to go in there and meditate and just,
Yeah, they said you don't even have to meditate if you don't want to, but you can. They would
well,
recommend
I know.
it too.
Anyway, it's too much work. It's going to disrupt the show too much bringing that picture up. I know which one you mean. It's the bigger one with the moss on the floor, the one I can fit
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. And you can
They'll
choose
go back
what you
there
want,
and-
but yeah, I'm just getting the left polarity would be a good start for you, they just said. They said the left polarity would be a good start for you.
The less polarity.
Yeah, because remember the left one and the right one have different polarities?
Oh, the left. I thought you said less. Okay, the left.
No,
polarity.
no, left.
Yeah.
The left one
Okay.
would be
Thank you
better
very much.
polarity. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna maybe even go there and sit in there maybe today even. But anyway, so Kevin, did you have any other questions or whatever to wrap it up? I mean, because you got a lot of information, so may as well bring it full circle if you have any questions for her.
Oh, as always, I have questions, but
Well, ask a few of the important ones.
right, there's only one that's really the top one. And that is, Holly, do you get a sense that they are willing to, my clan, willing to re-engage with me, at least in like a guidance capacity, not an overart, not like an overt, energetic working with me, but you know, I can get lost in my own head. And sometimes having someone help me to focus or point me in the right direction is the better approach, because otherwise I feel like I'm just bouncing around and it's easy for me to miss stuff, right? And I know the importance of energy. I know the importance of the energetic work. But where I'm really lacking is an understanding of how the rubber meets the road and how to take my energy and give someone else that same kind of a love envelope in terms of giving them that experience of this is what love really is, right? I don't ever probably expect to do it on the same level as Talitha did for me, but you know, just a little bit would be great.
Okay. They're saying a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just kept wandering around.
No. Wander as much as you want. Okay. And they just said wander as much as you want. Okay. This is what they said first of all. Okay. First of all, the very first thing they said was, when you're on a frequency of, okay, I'm just going to keep going to the forest, whether you're there or not. I'm just going to go and experience the frequencies of the earth and the magnetic poles and all the energy out there. And I'm just going to go out there and I'm just going to be me. I'm going to do me to my highest level. That's a whole different frequency of, will you guys please work with me? Because I really miss it. And I really miss you. Like I need you. That puts you at a lower consciousness level than them. Okay. It puts you down here and you're putting them up there. They said, if you're going to do this, they will not come back. The best way to get them back is to go, okay, I'm just up here. I'm just the bestest me possible. And I don't care either way. I'm going to enjoy the love and the fulfillment of the nature of this planet. Whether you guys are there or not, I don't care. I'm going because I need to be out there.
It's funny. That's actually kind of that's my journey so far, where I was like kind of whiny. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
Come on back, guys,
Yep.
please. You know what?
They won't come back to you on that frequency.
I'm good.
That's right. When you get to there, then they'll come back.
You guys taught me a lot, and I'm going to just go practice whatever I can.
Yep. That's how to get them back, because then they know that you're not leaning on them anymore, because they said we can't be your crutch, and so they're not allowed. Right. They're not allowed. So if you think you need them for
that's
something,
a soul thing, right?
Yeah.
You're not allowed.
Soul
lessons and soul lessons.
I don't want them as a crutch. I don't. That is not what I want.
They said energetically speaking, learning about the energy and the transfer of energy and all that stuff. They want you to, yes, they know you don't, but they don't want you to believe that you need them for that. They said it's kind of reverse psychology. It's kind of reverse osmosis. She said you kind of do need us, but like when you say you don't need us and you're good with our, like the universe will give it to me wherever. They're like, of course you're going to be thinking in the back of your mind, I hope this works. I hope this works. I hope this
works.
They're like, they know you can. They know all of your thoughts, but they're just telling you, like, just make sure that you don't do that, groveling frequency. Don't do the groveling frequency. Always tell yourself, okay, wait a minute. It's all for the higher good. It's my higher good. They're doing this sort of love for me. And they said, bam, then you feel love back for them. Bing, you just got it. Just tune your heart to that frequency. Aha. See that when you're there, when you're in your heart center, bam, that's the right time. Just sustain that. Do you get it? Don't feel the sword through your heart about them. Feel the love frequency back to them for how they are lovingly teaching you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
when you're there,
so the heart of gratitude is what brought me into their presence in the first place. And when I go into the woods now, what I do is I kind of recount to them all the things that I'm grateful for and thanking them for what they've done in my life. And then I just let it go at that because I
They
want them
said,
to know that regardless of whether they ever re-engage with me, how much I appreciate the special thing they did by revealing themselves and
okay,
bringing me along.
they just said something. They
Okay.
said, they are there with you. They're just on a higher frequency than they were before. They're there,
Oh,
but they're on a higher frequency.
okay.
And so you just have to meet them at that frequency because they're not going to come down anymore. That's what they're
I've
Okay.
doing.
always said
That's all
that.
they're doing.
You always
That's all
meet,
they're doing.
when you
They're
connect
like,
with them, you meet them
yeah,
somewhere in the middle.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're like, we're there. We're just on a higher frequency now. And we're not allowed to come back down to our old one. We
You
have
know
to
why
stay.
that, that's why when we're in the woods and we're laughing, singing, playing, talking about spiritual matters, beautiful stuff, and not worrying about Trump bad or any of this politics stuff or any of the division that alienates it. Well, that's when they connect with us because our frequency is raised, and so it's easier for them on the higher frequency. You know, that's where you meet when you're coming up. So when you're talking about all this crap and worrying about all the stuff in the world today and all the nonsense that infects our mind and is there to distract us and to keep us away from knowing who we truly are, all that stuff prevents us from connecting with them. So if you want to connect with them, you've got to be from your heart. You have to project pure thoughts, joy, happiness, and keep the judgment and the fear and all that stuff out of it. Which
Fair. That's
I
fair.
saw my thoughts once. I have a YouTube video I did about it. I have to get like an AI rendition of it to add to my video, but right now it's just a verbal expression of what happened to me. So I'll give you the brief experience. If someone wants to hear the longer video, they can go to Holly Burns Psychic on YouTube and they can watch the Thought Highway video. Okay.
Okay.
So I saw my thoughts, and as I was thinking them, they were going out ahead of me. And
wow.
that's where I went. I went, wow. When I went, wow, my thought went boom and it spiked up. It was a little white dot. It was a white dot
Interesting.
moving along horizontally. When I went, wow, I could see my thought. It went, whoa, I could see my thought. My frequency rose at that minute because my emotion rose. And then I went, oh my God, that's just crazy. And then it went back down again to the normal. And I'm like, oh my God, it's any thought I thought it was going up or down. But mostly I could see my go-to frequency. Right here was my go-to frequency. But I could easily raise my frequency by just changing my thought. And
What was the lesson in there?
What?
That you could see your thought. What do you think the lesson was? That's very
Oh,
fascinating.
it was to understand where my go-to frequency is, and then I can set it anywhere I want. And then I need to work on raising my go-to frequency of my normal everyday thoughts.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Beautiful,
My specialty is that. That's what they work with me on, is they teach me all how manifestation works and thought frequencies and stuff. And that's what I do with my clients. So that they were just showing me, hey, look at and they also tend to tell you that if everybody could see their thoughts and they see the frequency of their thoughts that they think all day long, wow, would they change?
Well,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Boy, that's a profound statement, and boy,
It
does
is.
that make sense. Oh yeah.
There would be
Well,
no
I've
excuses.
always said that every thought and action creates our individual and collective reality.
Yes.
It is.
So we have to be very, so we should be responsible with our thoughts. We should be putting out love and
Okay.
that kind of stuff.
Instead of the judgment statement like that, all you need to think about is I need to reprogram my subconscious self-talk. I need to reprogram what I talk to myself in my head. I need to reprogram. And the only way you're going to do that is if you overwrite the programming that's all judgment.
Right. You have to manually be aware of what, like I always say, are you between 1 and 10, where were you average wise today? And, you need to work on getting your average up to, everybody should strive for a 10 out of 10.
Right.
They've got me in a really I've been like this for a long time. As soon as I have a judgment thought or a negative thought, I know immediately. That's not right. That's not right. I shouldn't be thinking that. I know better. Yeah. And so gradually I'm going more and more and more away from that.
Yeah.
And when I'm at my best, where I want to be, like all this political stuff and all this, it just is. It's not even important. It's just part of what's unfolding so
totally
that
not
we
even
can
into any of that stuff
waking
right
up or
now.
whatever. And
No.
there's no judgment, no fear,
No.
or any of that stuff in there. That's where I want to be. I want to quit being triggered into coming back into
There you go.
the old habits of judgment and all this stuff. That's really where I want to be. And I think I'm getting better and better and better at it. But it's a work in progress because the old conditioning, from me
Well,
on.
that's law of attraction. Your brain wants to think 90% of the same thoughts that it thought yesterday. So when you wake up, that's why I call it your go-to frequency. Your brain naturally just goes, "Oh, we're on this frequency, right? Humming along, thinking thoughts on that frequency because that's your set point because it's law of attraction. So you have to rechange your set point to a higher one and then it'll start to become automatic. They were saying something about you too, Kevin. Another thing they wanted to tell you is that to this answer of your question that you were just asking about being in the woods and stuff with them, they said that you might be also have some great experiences if you build your own little teepee in the woods. So find a private spot, a spot you like that feels aligned to you, and build something that's more pyramid shaped for yourself to sit within underneath
Okay.
that you can
Yeah.
sit and have a meditation spot. They want you to do
Yeah.
it like inside a pyramidal shape as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I will.
they won't build you one like my guys.
I know. So
You're
Oh
not-
God, that would
you're
be
not,
awesome.
You're not on that level yet.
Well,
Yeah,
they said take pictures of it. Don't be surprised if they change it when you're gone.
oh, absolutely. Oh, no,
And then
no.
you
I've already
come back and
experienced
it's
stuff like that.
different.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, oh my God.
They're
That's
gonna, and a long time ago, I asked them if we see energy the way they see energy, and I was chuckled at
Weird,
and
huh?
told no. They're gonna see the best use of the energy there and how to tweak it. We're
Yeah.
gonna build something that's sort of clumsy comparatively.
Yeah, like
So
they clairvoyantly they clairvoyantly can see the color of energy all around them, whereas only super in tune clairvoyants do that like all day without turning on their third eye vision, you know, and so they just do it like they can see energy all the time, like they can see probably the frequency of our thoughts, but we can't. I can see thoughts coming off of people's heads. Like when I open my third eye energy or my third eye vision, and I'm really working on that, I can see little white tornadoes swirling off the top of people's heads. That's
right.
their thoughts coming off their heads. But I don't see that on a regular basis, and I don't see the frequency that they're on. I don't see any color banding or, anything like that. But I think they do.
Oh, I think they do too. So, Holly, I sent you a friend request. Whether you accept it or not, it's up to you. I just
Well,
wanted
of
to
course
give
I
you a
will.
heads up. Because this has been fantastic. I really appreciated this.
You said you had some other questions too.
Well, that was the main one. Is because my biggest so there. One of the things I struggled with over time was I used to really live in a fear place. I didn't realize it. A fear of doing wrong, a fear of going the wrong path, a fear of just a lot of fears. And then they, over the course of several years, kept running me into that and saying, you really need to look at that. And like I told you, the first time they really interacted with me was they scared me. And so after we worked through that, I don't really feel like I'm in that vibration of fear anymore. But there are still certain areas where I've got a lot of uncertainty that I could be confused for fear, possibly. And one of those is I don't want to get stuck in a spot, not knowing which way to go.
Yeah.
Right? And
You mean like get lost out in the woods, have them disorient you?
Oh no, I've had that.
Or you mean consciousness
I'm
wise?
talking about consciousness and energy wise. So,
Okay.
Because as we as humans are pretty much less perceptive, I believe, than our Sasquatch brothers and sisters. And so we walk through life kind of with a little bit of a handicap when it comes to energy. And we're easy to fool, and we're easy to it's easy for us to get the wrong idea and the wrong impression. And that's what that's so when I asked if they'd be willing to guide me, that was more the direction of, look, I'm going to go out and I'm going to charge forward. I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing and really focus on being the best I can be and developing my energy understanding. But what I'd really love is someone to just be watching and going, okay, maybe you need to trend that way, or
Okay.
maybe you need to trend that way, or you need to stop that right now.
Okay, they're talking. Okay, first of all, they said like you do have a little bit of a fear of like when you go out into the woods where those places where you feel a little fearful, it's because they're so paranormally tuned that you're worried that you could actually have something happen to you where they could like take you to a different dimension and you're like, how do I get back to my life on Earth? Like, like things like that because they're very powerful beings and
Yes.
they could definitely like do something to you energetically
Is
speaking
that true,
where
Kevin? You've had
you're
those
off
thoughts?
and gone. And so,
Actually, I've wanted, so strange you should say that. I've wanted them to do that for me, actually, taking me through a dimensional portal.
okay, but maybe not have them do something that they said yes, but you don't want to be out of control of your own faculties in your own body.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's what
I
they're
am more
saying.
of a control freak.
You have a fear of that. Me too. And they're saying like you have a fear of that part. And so they're like, and
Yep.
so they said, so thusly that's why it hasn't happened to you. And I'm like, yeah, probably me too. Because I don't want anybody like, where I can't move. I'm paralyzed and I'm going through a portal of energy and sliding down this like energetic water slide to who knows where, and I can't stop. I can't make any choices. Like, I don't want that. And they're saying that's how you are too. You're kind of like that. And
Yep.
so and so they're saying when you feel those twinges in the forest, that's kind of like those places where you're like, okay, something crazy could happen to me here. And I want to make sure that I'm kind of in control, even if something's going on with me at the same time. And so just know that you are in those places, probably where that can happen. But they're saying not to really worry about it. They're not really concerned about it. So I don't think that you have to really have a physical fear of that. I think you can probably let that one go. And they just said that along with me. They said, I think you can probably let that one go. Okay, good.
Okay, fair.
And then they said that when you said, I'm worried that I might be on the wrong path. I'm worried that I might be not knowing where I'm going, and we can get easily fooled, and we could be off on the wrong tangent. And they said, if you worry about that, they said, and thus you create that.
No, that's fair.
So they said, don't worry about it because the universe thinks you want that. And so you're just
That's
creating
fair.
your own confusion if you worry. So remember, if you're on a negative emotion about that
Yep.
or you're not aligned about that, and that's exactly, and thus you will create that. And what they said guidance wise, they said, well, the best guide is your own higher self. So they want you to start tuning into your higher self and really work with that. Are you aware of anything about that?
So I'm aware of the existence of a higher self. I have never consciously.
Okay, we're getting into that. Okay, quick tutorial. You speak with your higher self all day long, 24/7. Your higher self is the most closest to you of anything else in the universe.
Hmm.
It's so close that you don't even realize it's your higher self. So I'll give you some little tests. Okay, so yes or no. After we're done with this session today, I'm recommending to you that you walk out the door, don't say a word to your family, take all of the money out of the family's bank account, buy a plane ticket to Timbuktu, and never come back again and never speak to any of us again. Yes or
No,
no?
no.
Exactly. Like I was like 2 seconds into that and you're already getting a no. Okay. Your higher self said no before your brain could even think the no and have
Hmm.
the no. Okay. When you get up in the morning, do you think you should get out of bed when you wake up? You
Sometimes.
think you think you should brush your teeth when you get up? Do you get nudged to brush your teeth? Or do you think you should skip brushing your teeth? Okay. When someone says to you, I think should we go to dinner at this restaurant or this restaurant? Most of the time you get an instantaneous thought that pops into your mind, and then you kind of make up your mind about which decision to tell your wife that you guys should go to dinner at. Your higher self is constantly ahead of you in thought.
True.
It's
Actually, I would agree.
it's the one that goes this fast. That's your higher self. Every time, all day long. Every thought you think, your higher self is ahead of you. So start tuning into that little part of yourself. And he works through your heart chakra. And then that aligns with your emotions in your brain. And so they'll come in constantly and say, like they said, for instance, if you can't find your keys and you got to get out the door and you got to be someplace. A lot of times you'll instantaneously know if that's a big problem or if it's probably going to solve itself in 5 minutes.
That's fair.
That's your higher
Well, that
self
is fair.
telling you.
Yeah.
Your higher self is saying, don't worry, we'll find him in 2 seconds. Don't worry, just keep looking. So you need to start learning, you need to start meeting your higher self and really getting in tune and touch with that energy, because that will be your guide for your journey and where you're going. And then that's going to really tune in with your pathway, and you're going to feel calm about that, and really just like you don't need, like the Sasquatches are awesome and they're there as an extra thing. But you're really tuned to your own higher self, because your own higher self knows the plan for your whole life, and he never forgets it. He's all knowing, and he's constantly flowing to you the information you need to know, so that you take your right path. That's your higher self's job. Your higher self's job is the one to lead you on the path. The Sasquatches are like, that's not our job. Your higher self's job is that.
Okay.
Our job is to show up when we're supposed to and give you the teachings that we're supposed to. But our job is not to lead every move on your life. That's your higher self's area anyway.
Okay. That's fair. Thank you.
Yeah. So they said if you tune into that, then you'll be like, then the Sasquatch people said, and then your higher self will lead you back to us. Your higher self will say, it's time to work with them now. And your higher self will lead you on what day to go to the woods. Your higher self will tell you what path to take.
Okay.
Your higher self will tell you when to sit down. And then bam, the Sasquatches will be right there. It'll be so synergistic. You'll just be like, oh my God. That's what they're saying.
You sure got a lot of good information as to how to reestablish. Well, I don't think reestablish is the right word, because
I said that's not the
always
goal.
there. But how to initiate more contact or whatever.
They said keep defining them as still there. They are still there. They're just on a different frequency. You just gotta meet them there. That's it. They said they want you to change your story you tell every day. You're no longer telling the story of the Sasquatches aren't there anymore. They left me. That they went somewhere.
Okay.
They said
actually really fair, because that's
we're
the way I
there.
felt.
We're always there. We just change frequencies. That's it.
Yeah, quit being a whiny baby, they're saying.
Yeah. Well, that is true. I mean, that if you want to put it in its crassest
pretty much
form,
it.
that's it. That's it. Quit whining. Just get on with life, dude.
Yep, that's it. That's it. That's definitely it.
Okay.
Amazing. Well, we've gone on for 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12. We've gone on over 3 hours. This is one of the old pork and beans type marathon shows. Do you guys want to go on till 1, or do you want to wrap it up? Is there anything you want to tie any loose ends up before we go?
I personally have to wrap it up.
You do?
I would love to continue on, because Holly is absolutely fascinating, but I have to go.
Okay. And I think I got all the information I need for the book. If I need any more little details,
Yeah, you know where to find me.
I know where to find you.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the thing I'm going to be working on next. And amazing. I'm excited.
Well,
about
I have
this.
so much fun working with you guys with this stuff. This is all what I've been trained to do. So it's like super fun to be able to connect dots for people on their journeys in this manner. As people that are working on awakening is the funnest thing I do. So
Yeah.
it's great. It was really fun. It helps me awaken as well. I learn just as much as you guys do.
Yeah, we all learn from each other. I'm really happy about this book. I'm excited about it. I'm sure they are too.
Absolutely. I
good
cannot
one.
wait for it to come out. And congratulations on Tom on his book, to put a plug out for his book that it should be out now. I haven't seen, I got to see, I might be behind on his Facebook page. I checked the other day and he didn't have a promo on his new book, but for all you guys that know, you should go to Tom Cantrell's website and check out his newest book.
You know, it's pretty funny with this book. I haven't heard, and I'm not complaining, because I haven't heard a lot of feedback from my friends, but from people that I just come across that have read it, that they've had me in tears. Like how
I can't
much
wait to get to your book. I'm going through you guys' glyph book, and then when I get done with that, I've got to set up the
Well, that's my book I wrote with Tom too.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say your guys' book. It's amazing.
95% of those glyphs are mine.
It's unbelievable. I'm only halfway through it, and I can't wait to get time to go through the rest. That's a book that you can't put on narrate in a PDF form, because I'll miss
No.
everything. But
Anyway,
the other one, I'm gonna figure out how to get my phone to narrate your other one, so I can take that PDF and then have it read to me. And I just have to
Yeah.
get time to get that done.
my book is way more detailed than the glyph book. I mean, I'm just.
I'm
that
really
glyph-
excited to get to
Brian,
all of it.
For me anyway, that glyph book was kind of life-changing, because introduced me to the concept of what to look for when I was out in the woods, so that it was another avenue of communication that my clan could use, and not just for me, but for anybody else who wants to go in the woods. You will see repeating patterns, and there's usually evidence that it was done by a Sasquatch person. So
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's
it
one
is
of the things.
amazing.
No,
Do you have
it's
a
a good,
pendant,
it's a,
John? I'm sorry. What were you
it's a
gonna?
good, it's a good. Sorry, hold that thought. It's a good book, but my other book is just way more detailed and doing some really good stuff.
And I would agree with you, and here's why. The glyph book is really good for those that are just getting their feet wet with actually going out in the woods and seeing this stuff firsthand. For someone who's been actually brought into the fold of the Sasquatch people, your second book is absolutely amazing. So that's my perspective.
Yeah, they serve different purposes.
Yeah,
for sure.
totally.
So what were you saying, Holly? I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Do you have a pendant on today, Kevin?
Do I have a pendant? No.
Oh, does your shirt have a thing? There's something shiny.
Oh, my extra pair of glasses.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a plain pendant that had just metal on it like this. Oh, they made it look like that. Okay. They were making your glasses look like a twin pendant to mine
Oh, how
to
fun.
show some sort of soul connection going on that
Between
I
you
am
two?
supposed to explore. Yeah, some sort of
Well,
like,
I can tell
yeah.
you that there is something here.
Yeah, they were showing me that we have just like I have one with Tom and Brian and
Right,
Barb.
exactly.
And so I'm just like, oh, okay. They were showing me like you're in the web, like that was really cool. So I thought maybe enough because I just got a nudge to put this on today. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
what should I? They're like, oh, put this one on. Okay, I'll wear this one. And then what you had, it just looked like you had a silver pendant on that was exactly the same as this one, except for not the cross in the middle. So they
Right.
wanted to note that was a little just to let us know that energetically there's also a lot of etheric connections going on.
I think there are.
Yeah.
I would
So
agree.
I think the main purpose of the show was for you to realize it's smarten the heck up.
You're so funny, Brian. Ha, ha, ha.
Well, then you can
No,
just edit
but
the show down. I guess you can just edit the show to like 30 seconds. Brian can come on and say, okay, well, today's show was all about just having Kevin say, blah, blah, blah. And then that's all we need to do then.
Okay, so actually it's going to be worse than that. It's going to say, and in the 30-second snippet, it'll be, yeah, and Kevin learned that I was right.
There you go.
Kevin and I talked, and he agreed with everything I said and realized the error of his ways. And now he feels really bad and stupid, and I forgive him. I forgive him.
There you go. That's today's show. Check
Okay.
mark.
That's today's show in a nutshell.
Check.
Right.
Yeah. Well, look, I think, Holly, you're somebody we're going to have on a lot more, obviously.
Well, it's super fun. I
You
can't wait.
contribute so much to our shows, and we're really blessed to have you.
It's
Kevin,
fun to
thanks
be
for
here.
coming on, and now I've got the information I need for the book. Even though I knew it anyway, I just refer to it while I'm writing and whatever. So
Well, I
I'll get
appreciate
that.
I appreciate the opportunity to come back on and talk about it, because it brings it back fresh in my mind and reminds me just how extra normal, I don't want to call it paranormal, even though it probably was, but extra normal it was, that the experiences that this clan has brought me through and brought me.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'm
Unbelievable,
sure you
yeah.
have many, many more coming.
So
I hope so.
I just wanted to let everybody know that, shape shifting is a real thing. And it can even be they can shape shift into a human being. And I'm absolutely 100% positive. Kevin's story is so definitive to me because it kind of played off what I was experiencing. But he got the perfume confirmation. That was like the clincher for me. I said, okay, now I know for sure. There's no question about it. So Kevin's helped me. I've helped him. We all help each other,
100%,
right?
yes.
And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you, Holly, for stopping in.
Thank you guys.
And I wasn't even going to have this show, but I did plan on doing this with Kevin anyway. So I thought, well, we'll just make a show of it. So appreciate you guys.
It's going to be so fun. Super fun. I'm so excited.
Alrighty. Well, everybody, thanks for watching the Pork and Pappy show. And Pappy was kind of sleepy today, but
He had an
We're
eye
glad he
problem.
showed-
He said he
we're
couldn't
glad he
open his
showed up.
eye.
we're glad he showed up anyway.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
everybody,
said
what?
Oh, I was just gonna say he had an eye problem and he couldn't keep his eye open. That was what was going on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Holly. Thanks for everybody
Thank
for
you.
watching. And we'll see you all maybe next week if I can figure out who to get a guest going or something. I usually go on a spurt and I'll get like 6 in a row and then don't have to worry about it. But when it comes to the end, then I gotta say, oh, I better get a bunch more or something. So that's why you guys are on here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I didn't have
we're just the
anybody
after-
else.
Bruce the After Effect people. Can't find
Yeah.
anybody else.
Couldn't find anybody, so I guess Kevin
That's
will
right.
do.
Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin and Holly, yeah, they'll do.
We're the gutter guests.
All
All
right.
right, guys.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Love to everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hush, little baby, don't you cry. You know your daddy about to die.